Hello and welcome to Legalbytes. If you're new here, my name is Alita. I'm a lawyer licensed in California and DC, and on this channel, we explain the law one bite at a time. We don't give legal advice, but we do talk about how the law works and try to look into our crystal ball to see how things might turn out. If you're enjoying this on YouTube, we'd love it if you could like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it with friends, all the great YouTube-y stuff. And if you want to listen while out and about, we're now offering our live streams in podcast form where you can leave a rating and review. Links are in the description below, as well as to our clips channel where you can find some of the best clips taken from our live streams. Otherwise, if you want to catch me elsewhere, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And if you want to support the channel, you can do so on Locals, Patreon, or by becoming a YouTube member, or by buying some really awesome Legalbytes merch. Again, all links are in the description below. And with that said, let's get into it.
All right. I love it. I love it. As I'm watching you guys, because you guys can't see each other or me, but I can click on you because I'm the host.
And I'm like,
the most
you guys are both like down
banging
to
intro
it.
of all blocks.
Yeah. You have a banger. I'm just saying. I'm jamming out to it every single time. It's really fucking catchy.
Yeah.
What's up, everybody?
It's great. It's great. So, hey, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Latest in the Law. I have with me once again, of course, the wonderful legal mindset and the wonderful uncivil law. How are you guys doing?
What up?
I am very glad to be here. Lita.
Yeah, I see. We have sweatshirt legal mindset.
Yes, it's Adam. It's Adam.
This is the Adam version.
This is Adam version. Yes.
Not Andrew. This is the Adam alter ego.
It's established. If you do not know, you can watch the Purim stream with Joe, or Lunar Clips has a clip. But yeah, this is it. When I'm in drinking at this point, when I'm in streaming all day, and I feel like I've been doing way more streams than normal lately, and they've been way longer. I'm exhausted, but I've stood up Alita more. Like if Alita was a date that I was trying to meet up with, she's beyond the ghosting point. I've canceled on her so many times. So like, I appreciate that she still invites me on at this point.
And you should. No, I'm just kidding. No, I mean I understand that like you're in a particularly weird, position for this. Yeah, that's not 1 p.m.
No, that's AM.
No, when I do love the clock.
Dot is high, that is AM, that is PM. So this is AM, people. This is how much I love you that I'm on at 1:07 AM. Yes. And also I will probably have a stream tomorrow. I'm trying to set it up. I may have a stream with Nate at my time, 8 or 9 a.m. So we'll see. I may not be sleeping very much tonight.
Amazing. That was me also, because I just had a live stream with that umbrella guy.
I heard that. I heard a little bit of it. Yeah, it was good.
That's right. Yeah. You guys were both in the
chat. I was in the chat trying to harass you a little bit as usual.
Yeah, that's right. And so for most of the audience, it was the evening in the United States, but for me, it was very early in the morning. And then I ended the stream and I opened the curtain, was like, oh, it's bright. Like, what's going on?
That was me during Rittenhouse. That was me during all of Rittenhouse when people saw in my bedroom, the sun coming up in the background, just like slowly throughout the trial.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Aaron Catron, thank you so much for the super chat. Really appreciate it. So we've got, so I'm not the only one that's on kind of a ramped up streaming schedule lately.
No. And, because I want to be on with Andrew and I want to be on with you, I'm willing to change my hours. It just doesn't always have to just be to accommodate me.
Kurt, I feel like Kurt, I feel like you've been streaming a lot too lately. I
have been streaming a lot lately. I've been enjoying it a lot lately.
Good.
Took a little bit of sabbatical from work and that was fun.
That's awesome.
Streaming is fun too.
Yeah.
And I've got a new tripod because my tripod broke. So I've got a new tripod, which is
about that.
Much better tripod. Yeah, I had this one that I'd cobbled together to make the camera work. I had bought, just a cheap ass tripod and bought a separate boom arm, bought a separate mount head and stuff like all that. And the bracket broke. And then I was like on Amazon, and basically they sell tripods that have everything I need just built into one thing. So I was like, oh, okay. So I'll just buy that instead, and works a lot better. So now it's stable and looks great, and
I would add,
it won't fall over all the time and hit the floor.
I would ask how large your tripod is, but that's a personal question.
Oh,
Up to 72 inches, it expands. When
Whoa,
it's excited.
whoa. So it's a grower then. Got it.
For sure.
Got it. We're
Okay.
talking about the tripod, guys.
Of
This first
course, of
camera.
course. Yeah. Get your minds out of the gutter. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Angry Bandling. Hey, it's good to see you again. Thank you for the super chat. Hey, Alita, it's been a while. I hope you're well. Also, Andrew, how are you wearing a sweatshirt during summer? Absolute mad.
Okay,
lad.
I'm not in whatever phony country. I think Angry Band's in Philippines. Yeah. So it is still winter here. Korea has been unseasonably cold. I have been meaning to start my anime arc filming cherry blossoms here in Korea, which Korea has more, fun fact, has more cherry blossoms than Japan actually.
Nice.
But they haven't bloomed yet or fully bloomed yet. They were partially bloomed in Busan, but here in Seoul they haven't fully bloomed because it's been so fucking cold. It is still cold. So I will be wearing this sweater for at least another month or two.
Mm-hmm.
I know. I feel like this is the time of year for me where I end up just carrying around a sweatshirt a lot because in the morning or in the evening, it's just a lot cooler. And then like in the middle of the day, then all of a sudden you're like, why am I sweating through everything? So maybe that's just a personal problem, but
It's the law tube hot flashes. Honestly, I get heat from no, not that. My light is really hot. It's like a large LED light. I feel the heat, especially when I'm wearing the suit.
From an LED.
Yeah.
That's interesting because LEDs don't, radiate that much heat.
This one's kicking it, baby.
Okay. All right, I believe you.
Yeah. My lights can definitely warm things up, after a while for sure.
I just got a soft box with like a 75 watt equivalent LED bulb, and it works great.
I need to get a soft box.
It's a little bulky though. I don't know that I'd go the soft box route because it takes up so much space. There's got to be a better alternative.
See, someone told me a soft box was more portable.
It might be more portable, but like in my room, it takes up a fair amount of space. Like if I had to actually go out in the world, sure. Like because when I was moving and like packing everything up into just a bag, yeah, I mean, it's really portable. It's great if you want to travel it around, but when it's actually set up, I don't know, it takes up a fair amount of space.
Angry Bandling says, here it's so hot, gaming on PC is pure torture. Yikes.
Well,
I could see that happening.
But the problem is he's not gaming on console. I mean, so really that's the whole problem. He's just, the inferior, PC race. It's okay.
Are you anti PC?
I have very rarely in my life ever gamed on a PC. I've always console gamed.
I respect that. I think console gaming, I don't have a console right now, but I've always liked console gaming just because it's a fully integrated experience.
Exactly. And it's made for gaming.
Yeah, it's just made to do that. And so it does it really well. It's like you can do more with a PC, but it's one of the reasons I personally like iPhone over Android. Like I can do more with Android and it's a more flexible platform, but Apple, everything's just integrated and it works. So it's like, it just makes my life easier.
Yeah.
So yeah.
True. Yeah. No, I benefit from Mr. Bytes' obsession with having the latest game tech and games. So I've actually never played on a PC, but not because I didn't want to, mostly because I've always had like a laptop, or like a particularly most recently a Mac. But yeah, I haven't really gone down that route, but I have played on, I have a Switch behind me. There it is.
I have a Switch I never use.
Ooh, whoa, got a little hot there for
that's the voice of God right there.
Well, geez, another day with StreamYards and not doing audio management properly. What a surprise. It's day in the Y.
I think StreamYard just hates you.
I think
maybe it's a cable in your mic. That might be it.
You think?
Maybe. Could be. I don't know.
Those loose wires.
But anyway, why don't we talk about some of these lovely subjects?
Where do you want to start? There's so much this week. I don't even know how you choose your topics. This week I was like, derp. Okay, we're just gonna have some Will Smith, and I'm like, oh, reparations. Oh, I get to cover that. That's fun. So,
well, we're not talking about reparations today.
I know.
Okay.
If you want to see it, check out my stream, and I'll.
I have some thoughts on reparations.
I didn't know they were they were really for real about it. And it's like really a California thing. Go watch my video. I just did a video on it. But like,
you know, if it would actually repair, I'd actually support it, because the whole idea, at least in theory, of like any sort of that anything where you're talking about a reparation,
yeah,
the whole idea, at least in principle, is it's supposed to like solve the problem, right? It's supposed to end the problem.
it's not.
So we give you some sort of amount, and then it's over now. So it's like, I'll give you reparations if I never have to hear about racism or racism in America or the 1619 Project ever again, because we will have necessarily made everything square.
Yeah, that's not how it works, though, Kurt. But you know who does need reparations is Chris Rock for being hit by Will Smith. I think
There you
that's
go.
today, right?
Good. There
Right?
you go.
Yeah.
Yes,
I'm a master
that
of the
is- that
segue,
is-
Alita. You know
yes,
that.
there you go. I've gotten pretty decent at my segues too, but
I'm a hard
but that
segue
was-
guy.
That was a good one. That was a
Yeah.
good sharp turn. So yes, in case you aren't aware, because you've been living under a rock, there has been a major controversy surrounding the Academy Awards.
Literally, the
so-
whole internet knows.
I know. It's like to find someone who doesn't know about it would be much harder. So of course we all saw that footage. We've all watched it multiple times, trying to determine whether or not Will
made a meme
Smith's
out of
slap
it.
across Chris Rock's face was even real to begin with, and if it's real, you know, what kind of liability that they're talking about. People have been talking about criminal liability, civil liability. Now, the repercussions for that kind of a thing at an awards show. There's a question about, you know, whether he should have been kicked out. Then it came out that apparently the Academy tried to kick him out, and he just decided, nope, I'm Will Smith, so I'm going to stay.
That's not then they weren't actually trying. Like, you know
Well,
what I mean?
yes, that there wasn't any like
'Cause,
proper
you know.
enforcement, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, because
but that is technically trespass, right? They gave him notice, and he
They
refused to leave,
trespassed
so
him.
that is a trespass.
So did they actually do it? No, they didn't. Right? I mean, we tried. We're like, you know, Willikers, it would be nice. It would be swell if you could remove yourself from this event. No, oh, it's okay. Just sit there, Will. You're so amazing. Just sit there.
And then
Will.
they gave him a standing ovation later.
Exactly.
yeah, it's a very weird feeling whole series of events, right? And just like any policy, like anywhere, you know, whether it's a statute passed by Congress, or, you know, a family rule enacted by two parents over their children, a policy is only a policy if it's enforced, right? If you actually follow through with it.
Exactly.
So you know,
In
this
foreign
idea-
policy too, like it's only really a threat if you're willing to follow through. Otherwise, you don't have a foreign policy.
Yeah, I mean, sure, yes. I am much
Kurt,
less well versed on foreign policy.
Bringing in curveballs.
Just saying.
That is true.
You're not wrong.
Vague,
I mean-
unspecified threats and threats you don't follow through on don't count.
Yeah, and we could tie that right back into domestic policy, which I'll rein that back on in.
Yeah.
Oh, was it too early to transition over to Ukraine? Oh, I'm sorry. I'll try that.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about you.
No, I want to compare Chris Rock and Ukraine. Those are definitely comparable incidents.
Totally relatable. You know, okay, hold on. Chris Rock is Zelensky and Will Smith is Putin.
Yeah, no, it is a little
Like-
bit. You know, it is a little bit because he went into his territory, you know, against for an aggrieved wrong, you know, violated his space. I'm just after the Nazis. There's something there somewhere.
All right. Anyhow.
But by the way, that is the new meme. You know, remember the Batman meme of like Batman smacking smacking. That is the new meme. Is instead of it,
I
is
love
just
it.
literally Chris Rock and Will Smith.
It is a one-to-one comparison of the two. It's like
Literally.
literally, I'm waiting for somebody to turn that into like a graphic novel, like depiction version of Chris Rock and Will Smith.
There's already so many different versions. There's the one with like the fish and the donkey, like it's like animated. I can't even find these things.
Chris Rock as Donkey from Madagascar, and then Will Smith as the fish, and I can't remember
Whatever that movie was.
Yeah, some kind of an animated movie.
Missed
I
that
forgot.
one.
It was DreamWorks. It wasn't Pixar, so I didn't see it.
Yeah.
If it was Pixar, I would know.
Hashtag low budget. Yes.
Well, I don't know if it's low budget, but it's just I don't know. I've always gravitated towards Pixar. Not to say that you have to choose one over the other. But anyhow.
But I'm just saying one of them is Apple and one of them is Android, and we all know what most people have who are cool.
Yeah, I think so. I think I would personally agree with that. But anyhow, so now apparently the Screen Actors Guild I think it's the Screen Actors Guild is investigating this whole situation because both of them are actually members of the Screen Actors Guild, and technically both of them were working at this event. Because apparently, I mean, Chris Rock obviously, if he's presenting, then yes, he's under some sort of an agreement to be there and to perform in a certain respect. But
what's the okay? So Screen Actors Guild is investigating them. That is a union that they're part of, right?
Mhm.
What is the worst case scenario for them? What if the Screen Actors Guild wanted to throw the book at them? What's the worst they could do under California law?
Well, they could kick him out of the Screen Actors Guild.
Okay, and who cares if Will Smith gets kicked out of the Screen?
Then
Actors
he can't
Guild,
work though.
Yeah,
he can't work where? He can't work where?
Because I don't know, maybe independent, maybe some independent, movies or whatever. But I mean, if he wants to be making these big budget movies that he's been making and making all of his money off of, then he wouldn't be able to work if he's not a member of the union.
In what state though? Isn't that state dependent though?
No, because it's the union.
I don't think so. Yeah,
because
how about in states that don't allow? But how about in states that don't allow collectivized bargaining?
The union doesn't care. That's the thing. Like, because they're a private association, so they
can't. But what are they going to enforce? What are they going to enforce? So
I actually don't know. I actually don't know. I've never dealt with a union that
I think it's because
beyond.
It's in Hollywood. I think it's because it's in Hollywood. They say this. It's a cabal. I don't think they can enforce that, and I think that's part of the reason why they go to these other states that don't allow collectivized bargaining, especially the southern states. And at that point, they can walk out. Yeah, I think Eric Hunley
said it doesn't matter. Hey, Eric, by the way, how's it going?
What's up, Eric? So Eric knows because Eric's been talking to people behind the scenes. Eric's like very tuned into this. So the films have contracts with the SAG.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's the thing. The films have the contracts with the SAG.
Yeah,
that's the difference there.
Yeah, for sure. Also, Andy the Game Maker. Shout out to Adam. Yes, Adam. My wife and I thoroughly enjoyed Joe Neerman's stream after Purim.
Oh gosh. Hopefully it's just you and your wife, no Matt from Tinder. But I really Andy is really great. The problem with Andy is he's the guy who I've invited most on the stream, and he has turned me down more than during undergrad when I was asking out that cute Venezuelan girl. He is an elusive minx. He blames it on his family, that he has a family he has to take care of, and he's like, family stuff. But who cares about your family, guys? Come on. We're Law Tube. We do this for the chat. We do this for you guys. We give rid of our family. We get rid of everyone we love. We sacrifice them.
Throw them away.
Our animals are running feral behind us, all sorts of stuff.
And he says, never have a family.
He
tells me this all the time.
He always tells me that.
And no, the best part is, I mean, so for anyone that isn't familiar, this is actually my brother. But he will literally, we'll be at a family gathering and he will turn to Mr. Bites and say, never get married.
But real talk though.
Thanks, Andy. That's great.
Don't do it to. Okay. Yeah, he's been trying to sweet talk me behind the scenes. So we're gonna see what offer he makes me, and maybe he'll make me an offer I can't refuse, and maybe I'll let him back, but only this time, baby. I'll let you only back this time.
All right. So yeah, that's great. That's hilarious.
Andy is unbreaded. Someone said it in the chat. Andy is definitely unbreaded.
Yes,
he's very unbreaded. He's like a non-bred.
It's true. Definitely.
Especially when he's wearing a headband.
His young Josh Brolin from the Goonies headband. I can say it because I'm a sister.
That's good. I would have said it too. I just didn't think of it yet. I mean, I don't have any scruples.
It was the first thing I thought of. Like the first time I saw it, I was like, I really need to say this.
So do you think there's going to be, okay, so I get the Screen Actors Guild thing. Do you think there's pretty much no, from legal issues standpoint, like with the Will Smith, Chris Rock, he's not filing charges.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to bring a civil suit. It would have been, under theoretical law, it would have been assault, right? I mean, under California statute.
Simple assault, simple battery, yeah.
Well, if there was contact, I don't know, was contact confirmed? Some people were trying to, say there was no contact.
Yeah,
No,
no,
I
I think there
contact.
was. I think
Okay,
I
so-
think this was
so they're
real.
battery.
But it's
Yeah.
California. He's facing, the 2 days of probation and the $10,000 fine, Jussie Smollett style. So who cares?
Don't try to trigger me by mentioning Juicy. People keep triggering me with Juicy tonight.
Have you seen the Juicy combined memes where it's just Juicy in the place of Chris Rock?
Yes, it's Juicy smacking Juicy.
That's good too.
See, that the memes like that make me happy. And the one I posted earlier on my Legal Mindset Twitter, which is a combination of two memes. Whenever the memes combined,
Like our channels combine.
yes, it's a power.
We are
That's
Captain
great.
Planet.
Captain Lawtube.
Nice.
With our powers, we can fight those with large noses and bad attitudes.
Hey,
I'm joking. I love Nick.
no, I was talking about my own nose. I think he is the nose, but I feel like my
Yes.
nose could give his nose a run for its
Is
money.
that a
Are you
Lithuanian?
serious?
Is that a Lithuanian thing? Like, as my
Look at
roommate
your
does
nose
not
and look
have
at
a
either of
large
our
nose.
noses, and you're like, really?
Look at
I
this.
have I have a pretty
Look at
decent
this thing on my
schnoz.
face, man.
Look at this. Look at this.
Yeah. It's I don't know. It's that kind of like Roman bump or something like that is like what it's called.
The
My dad,
Roman
when I was a
bump.
kid, my dad was trying to convince me it was a sign of like nobility or something like
I
that.
believe
And
it.
I
It's
was
a Habsburg thing. We're so inbreaded. I buy it.
like, I don't know.
Yeah,
Unbreaded.
I don't-
Inbreaded.
Inbreaded.
No,
It's not the Habsburg lip like that they got from centuries of inbreeding of Austro-Hungarians. No, that is not good.
I'm gonna make that a thing now. Inbreaded. That's too
Oh
good.
man.
But
Yeah, I mean, so overall, like if we were to be issue spotting, this whole thing, we
Trespass, simple
we've got
battery.
trespass, simple
Yeah.
battery, simple
Mhm.
assault, intentional infliction of emotional distress. Because you've got the whole long walk up to him and the public smack and then the yelling at him. Like it's like there an argument could be made that this was sufficiently outrageous. I mean, literally, he
Yeah.
brought the entire award show to a screeching halt.
And shout out to Nina. She's going to be on my show on Sunday. But she was saying, did you guys hear that Will was also asked to leave after the slap and refused? Yeah, no, we heard that. We talked about it. And that would be trespass, right? So but once again, you have to press the charges. Like if you're saying we're not going to do anything about it, I think that it's lapsed at this point, right? Even if they wanted to in California, I'm not a California lawyer, but I mean, at this point, it's done. He's gone. So there's no.
I mean,
no
they're
for
still within the
trespass.
statute of limitations, I'm sure.
For trespass.
Yeah, but I mean, but
Sure.
but
I mean,
the-
because
the-
it all happened.
But they
in the past. I mean,
acquiesced to allowing him to remain there.
well, maybe not. It's debatable.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
the other aspect of it, and even for Chris Rock's claims here too, are that you also have to look at it from the perspective of what kind of damages would they be going for, because what kind of a harm resulted from these things. Him being at the Academy Awards, refusing to leave when they didn't even bring in any kind of muscle to try to take him out. Like if they just asked him to leave and he was like, no, and they're like, oh, okay, bye.
Alita, muscle is toxic masculinity. They do not allow that at those shows. That is very, very, very breaded of you to be so toxically masculine. You're supposed to bring them out through a struggle session where you just talk them out. You just talk them out of the room.
I don't think that's how it works for like keeping the crowds outside maintained.
Shh, we don't talk about reality. This is Hollywood. We magic it. Fairy dust. We got this.
Yeah. Of course.
We do the Disney thing. We change ladies and gentlemen to hello friends. And
Oh my God. I heard about that. It's pissed me off. Are we moving on to other topics now? Holy shit.
Well, Inner City Pigeon, I just appreciated this comment. The nose was evolved for aerodynamics and hydrodynamics. Alita was made for triathlons. Thank you. Although I'm terrible on a bike. I'm comically terrible on a bike. I have made
Wait. How terrible? This sounds like premium content. That sounds like premium content for your locals. Is Alita riding a bike? Like it does sound.
I mean, how bad can you be? It's riding a bike.
I don't know.
Okay. I'll just give one little story. I don't think I've told you guys this story before. So when I was when I was in college, I went on semester at sea, which was awesome. And one of the countries that we visited was Vietnam, which was also awesome. And I was there with two good friends, or was it three good friends? No, it was three of us. Sorry,
we lost one of them.
And so we kind of made this whole like independent travel thing to hire a tour guide to show us around the Mekong Delta, and we did like bike riding. And so there were three of us. No, it was just the three of us. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But all of us kind of looked
There were some number of girls.
Not too different from me in Vietnam. As we were bicycling around, we just naturally, got attention from locals because we don't look like locals. So, you had all these kids that would like run up and go like, hello, hello, hello. Obviously you're American. Hello, hello. This whole thing. And so we were just like generally attracting attention. On top of that, I was just having a hilarious, terrible time of managing through like sand on a bike. And I had also this was kind of towards the end of the semester. So living on a ship that doesn't really have a gym and you don't really have many places to go, and the food was not very good. So you always had dessert. You get where I'm going with this?
You were legal biting a little bit too much, if you know what I'm saying. You were
yes,
legal food coma, if you will.
Yes. It was not so much legal bites, but more like legal nom noms.
Gorge.
Yeah. So anyhow, I wasn't in my best shape. Let's just put it that way. And so we were trying to manage our way through like sand and stuff like that. And so there were a lot of like these little like river not canals, but like mini little streams or whatever off the river, basically, that we would go over these like shallow kind of or like short bridges to get across and whatnot. But it was a little bit of a curve up top. So
she's got some curves, all right.
So as we're going, I didn't quite have enough power to get over this one bridge. And there wasn't a railing on either end. And so it was just like this, like wooden planks, on this thing, no railing, going over this like stream, and there's like bamboo on the edges of the bank and whatnot. And so I didn't quite have enough power. And like at the top, I had to just put my foot down because I couldn't make it. And I didn't realize that I had one of my friends tailgating me from like right behind. And so I just hear, and she basically had to immediately stop, fell, and then kept going off the bridge onto the bank, narrowly missing some very sharp bamboo. So she was fine.
So you almost killed somebody in Vietnam is what we're hearing right now. Okay, the title of this clip is How Legalbytes Almost Killed Somebody in Vietnam. You're welcome,
fire.
people. Friendly fire.
Friendly fire in Vietnam.
That's why she's not sure
Were
how
you
many
in
friends.
North or
That's
South
exactly why
Vietnam?
she's not sure how many friends were there. Because
Exactly.
she doesn't want to admit to anything. Was it 5 or 6? I don't remember.
R.I.P. Legalbytes' friend. You will rest forever in our memory. We remember you. I will eat some commemorative
Random
pho
anonymous
for you.
blonde woman who looks the
Yes.
same as all the rest of us because it's just.
Oh, you know what? It's
interchangeable according to
because
Alita.
she was blonde and Alita's like, there can only be one. Off the rope, off the bamboo with you.
Why did you do it, Alita?
I did not mean to.
She's like,
I was just too fat to continue.
I have a great idea for a legal channel on YouTube, and you're like, oh, really? Off into the rivulet with you.
And the thing is, the thing too is that so she she narrowly missed bamboo. She landed on like very soft mud, and within seconds, all of a sudden we had people just coming out from their various houses on either side of this road, and just coming out. They like immediately like scramble to like pick her up off the she's got mud all over her, and we're just like, what's going on? Because there's like this whole group of people coming in, swarming in, and they like pull her like to the side of somebody's house, and they start like hosing her down just like immediately, like without any questions. Like they had seen the whole thing. Like it's almost as if they probably were like, oh, these girls are really struggling, or maybe this one in particular is struggling, and we should keep an eye out on them because they're about to mess something up. Because they just were like on it to like help us out. It was the craziest thing ever. But yeah, long story short, she was okay, but I decided that I need to be a little bit more careful on a bicycle. I'll bet you weren't expecting that story.
I was not expecting that, but you know what? This is the type of stuff that I love getting out of you. I love like forcing it out. It's like, how can I get a Legalbytes story out today? You know, oh yes, nearly killing someone on a bicycle. Yes, this is how we get it. Yes, this is my diabolical plan. But good stuff.
Exactly.
We've all almost killed somebody. I mean, you know, some people killed them with bikes. I almost killed somebody with a pencil. You know, I mean, it all is a thing, guys. We've all done it.
Sure. The bar.
It was in middle school.
Let me get caught up on a couple super chats, and then we'll continue. So Anti-Commie says, just here for the Adam and Alita stream featuring Kurt. Uncivilians represent. 2012 Jameson, is legal mindset panko instead of unbreaded?
Korean panko is lighter and crispier than Japanese panko. Fun fact.
That is that sounds like something for a
I'll
vlog.
vlog about it. I'll vlog about it. Oh, there's tons more vlogs coming.
Oh, I'm excited.
I did enjoy your blog. That was nice.
Thank you. I'm gonna be doing a lot more.
Yeah. Cherokee Girl says,
you seemed like a totally different person. You seemed very just.
Oh,
I don't know, you seemed
not
casual.
not angry at the laws and not raging. You know.
Yeah, like actually likable. I'm just kidding.
What? Who are you people? Do I even like you? Why am I on your stream again?
I'm kidding. You know we love you.
Oh my god.
Anti-Commie says, legal nom-noms almost get Johnny in Vietnam. It's another possible title. Andy the Game Maker says, friendly fire. Okay, legal Baldwin.
My dryer.
Oh, yours, okay.
Yeah, legal Baldwin. Thanks, Andy.
Oh, yeah. I didn't pull the trigger. It pulled itself. No, I didn't break the bike. It braked itself.
Oh man, it was definitely the bike's fault. I was
negligent
riding
consumption.
the bike.
You consume so many sugars. You broke the bike.
There you go. Yeah. I mean, fun times.
Do we totally derail your topic? You're like, I have serious legal stuff to talk about with Kurt and Andrew tonight. And I'm like, I'm drinking. We're talking about some stories tonight.
No, it's just, I was just trying to think, how can I tie in a bicycle into either former Dodger Trevor Bauer or BLM activist DeRay Mckesson or Clarence Thomas? I don't think there's a way to do that.
Well, have you seen the video? I don't forget who did it, but there's Clarence Thomas driving his RV and he has such road rage. It's amazing. It's awesome. He's like driving down for a reticent guy on the bench. He is not reticent on the road. That guy is like, like get out of my way. Like he is
interesting.
Clarence
Maybe that's
Thomas.
what he saves it for. Like, cause you know, some people just need their outlet and then they're like cool every place else. Like maybe that's like his one place.
You have to have an outlet.
Like,
yeah.
You need something.
Yeah.
I also totally forgot that I was going to pull up some stuff from Twitter. I totally like when I pitched to you guys this week's episode, I was like, yeah, we're also going to do some reactions to some stuff. So I'm also pulling that up at the same time as we're talking.
I'll drop you one of my favorite memes from my Twitter if you want to pull that one up. That's actually
awesome.
Really
oh, here it is. Okay, here's the first one. Okay, so we'll show that in a bit. But I think while we're talking about Justice Thomas, so there has been some interesting chatter about Justice Clarence Thomas, specifically related to the January 6th, I guess, just whole situation, because his wife, Virginia or Ginny Thomas, is apparently very active in the Republican Party and was very, very particularly active with I guess, advocating for certain movements with the Trump team, Trump White House, leading up to January 6th. So you guys know about this whole situation?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And it's ridiculous and political. It's AOC. She's a ridiculous, clown character. If she should be removed, if Thomas should be removed, then she should be removed as well for her ridiculous behavior, for her spreading of the beer bug, by going down and partying in Miami when she spoke against it, which is hypocritical.
Well, I don't know.
And for her affiliations and her open affiliations with many different, what I could call domestic terrorist organizations for their impact on the American economy. So, there's that, but if we're gonna go there, AOC, and it's frankly, no more than the fact that she can prove that the wife was in DC, and also the wife was concerned about election integrity and made some calls about election integrity, which I think that is fully within her political right to do. And also, the wife is not on the bench. You are not responsible for the actions of your significant other to that extent, in terms of their private political speech. Now, if they actually took an action or had a fiduciary interest or something else like that, that's fine. But in terms of her speech, I don't think there's anything they could do there.
So let's take it apart a little bit, because
Sure.
I think comparing AOC with Justice Thomas is a little bit of a disparity, because they fulfill different roles within the federal government, right? We're talking about a member of Congress and then a Supreme Court justice, and there are just different standards, right? Because what we're talking specifically about is this question about whether or not Justice Thomas should be recusing himself from these January 6th issues that come before the Supreme Court.
But to be clear, that's not actually what AOC said at first. She did call for him to resign.
Okay,
I'm sure
so
she did. Of course she did.
And then she walked it back to, oh, we should recuse himself. But she initially started with resign.
So that part I actually hadn't heard. What I was focusing in on was just specifically the recusal issue. So because for anyone that doesn't know, any kind of a judge must be impartial, and if they think that there's going to be some sort of a conflict of interest, generally speaking, they're supposed to recuse themselves. And over time in the history of the Supreme Court, the recusal standards have sort of broadened, meaning that there are more reasons for a Supreme Court justice to recuse themselves now than there used to be. It started off before Marbury v. Madison as like, purely financial interests. Then it expanded eventually to broaden to situations where the judge or the justice's family member is a party to the lawsuit. And then it expanded also to situations where the judge had been, or the Supreme Court justice had been a judge on the trial court level. But now it's much more like if they, what's the standard for it? Sorry, I wrote it down. I've got my notes here. It's if they have a personal bias or a prejudice. So,
but I think you might be making a minor mistake, and I'm not sure how much it matters.
Okay.
But I don't think the Supreme Court justices are actually bound by any formal standards at all.
Yes.
The lower judges are bound by rules of ethics and bound by rules of when they have to recuse themselves. But for the Supreme Court, I don't think they're bound technically by anything.
I think these are procedures they've adopted and said we will abide by these. However, technically, I don't think they're bound by.
Yeah, and so that's an important point, is that it is up to their discretion, basically, because there's also at the same time there is something called a Nate the lawyer. How's it going, Nate?
What's going on?
But we were just talking about recusal standards for the Supreme Court, and so I was just about to say that there, while there is the duty to recuse if a Supreme Court justice thinks that they might be biased or impartial, or biased or partial, prejudiced because of something in their life. There are several different examples for how this has played out in the past, but it is up to their discretion. But there also is something called a duty to sit, where if the Supreme Court justice thinks that the conflict of interest is unreasonable or unconvincing, then they have an actual duty to sit and hear the case and give their opinion and all that kind of stuff. So,
well, I only have one view about this whole thing. This is MAGA country.
We ain't cruising nobody out of MAGA country.
Are there any updates on the Justice Smollett case? Anything lately?
No, I wonder. Well, if I can weigh in on the recusal piece of it.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I got a video coming out later today about it. It's interesting. It's interesting because two things. Number one, and I'm assuming you guys spoke about this. The Supreme Court doesn't fall under normal recusal standards, right? Yeah, obviously. Yes. Because they are the highest court, so there's no other court to review whether their recusals are good or not. So
yeah.
So that's it's a little problem. The only way you can really do it is by impeaching him. So everybody understands Congress does have a federal law out there. that says that all judges have to do it. So who holds the lower court judges accountable is the Supreme Court, because all the power from the judiciary comes from the Supreme Court. But if a Supreme Court justice violates one of those rules, it's up to Congress to kick them out through the impeachment procedure. So they're in unless Congress is going to kick them out. Now, in this case, it's complicated, but I think Thomas really he has if he doesn't recuse himself, it's going to be, I think, hell, because his wife is directly implicated in this stuff all the way around. The messages between her and Meadows is really what the lawsuit is about. Because for those of you, I don't know if you guys went over did you guys go over the background between the messages between her and Meadows?
Not the specifics of it.
Okay, so Mark Meadows initially, so Congress started investigating Mark Meadows January 6th, and Mark Meadows was chief of staff for President Trump at the time. During the January 6th event, he was texting with all these different people, and one of those people happened to be Justice Thomas's wife during the event. And this is horrible, whatever, right? And then later on she was also texting her about overthrowing the election, whatever. So Mark Meadows initially was complying with the committee investigating January 6th attack. So he said, okay, I'm going to turn over some text messages. Now, he turned over 2,300 text messages, and 29 of those text messages were from between him and Justice Thomas's wife. So Justice Thomas's wife, so the committee, when they looked through the text messages, they say, how do we know these are all the text messages? We don't. So what they did was say, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to subpoena the phone company and match their records to what Meadows gave us to prove that we got everything. So they subpoenaed the phone company. And then that's when President Trump stepped in and said, well, hold on, we want to stop all these subpoenas and all this information under the theory of executive privilege. These were privileged communications under the theory of executive privilege. So none of these things should go to any committees of Congress, so forth and so forth. So fine. So you're with me there. So Trump stepped in and then commanded that Meadows not turn over anything else until the Supreme Court heard the claim of executive privilege. That then happened. The Supreme Court, it goes up to the Supreme Court. They hear the claim. They say he doesn't have a claim of executive privilege. 8-1. The only dissenting judge is Thomas. Thomas says, no, you shouldn't be able to turn over the documents. But there's no evidence that he knew that his wife's text messages were a part of the whole package, because the case was specifically about executive privilege, not about the subpoena of the cases. So,
Right.
so
And
people
I will also add that it's not the first time that Thomas has been the only dissenting judge on an opinion, right? Like
Yes.
it happens all the time. So
But
this is like, that is not weird.
But what is weird is the fact that there was no reasoning behind it. He just said, I would grant the petition, and it was absolutely no reasoning. No, it was literally a one, like maybe 5-word dissent. It was like almost not. It was kind of strange, even for Thomas. So, but now going forward, the issue is so now the committee, because the messages were now obviously they said to me to the phone company they've got more messages, but now because the messages between Thomas's wife and Meadows are material, she's now a fact witness to the situation because she was sending all these messages, and on top of that, the subpoena and legal documents name her specifically, right? We want her messages. So now would it be appropriate for Thomas to hear the case knowing that the messages and everything involve his wife directly? The subpoena involves his wife directly. The messages are from his wife directly. I don't think any sane attorney will know in this particular matter with these set of facts, Thomas should not be hearing any case in which his wife's messages are part of the documents. Yeah. I just think it's just
especially not where they're known, where they're known that that's part of it.
Before, okay, fine, but now maybe you
have we. But Nate, have we seen the text messages? Have we seen what the content of the actual text messages are?
Yes, we can play them. They've been playing them all week. Yeah.
Okay, I haven't seen that. Okay.
Yeah. They were straight up January 6th. Like she's straight up saying, and she even demeaned the January 6th people. Oh, they're horrible. But she was saying, she was definitely talking about January 6th, about overthrowing the election. Like it's clear what she was talking about. And her messages are relevant to their investigation. So it's not even like it's trivial.
Yeah, I mean, it to me that sounds like one of the earlier expansions of the recusal standards that basically, I mean, of course it's discretionary, but I mean it does seem like a situation that is more properly addressed with his recusal than not. I mean, just to kind of compare to some examples of times when Supreme Court justices have recused themselves. For Justice Sandra Day O'Connor recused herself from all telecommunications firms that were, or from cases involving telecommunication firms when she was invested in them. She owned stock in them, so therefore she decided to recuse herself. There was also Justice Thomas himself. He recused himself from the United States v. Virginia because his son at the time was going to VMI.
And that's the thing.
Similar to this, I think.
And you'd think that, okay, it should be up to the justices to have enough integrity to do that themselves, right? Because that protects the integrity of the institution. And you would think
Correct.
that if Thomas, those are the facts of the case, then Thomas will have enough integrity to do that. And clearly, if it's something that's on point, then he should be doing that. However, the thing is, when you have AOC getting ahead of it, and now it becomes, in terms of the narrative will now be AOC is the one that generated this. Because she got on top of the news, she got ahead of the news. Thomas didn't recuse himself first, or didn't preemptively recuse himself. So because of that, it'll be seeming like that was the way it went, that he did it because of that, not because he's making a moral choice. He knows his wife.
If anyone thinks Clarence Thomas does anything because of what AOC thinks, I don't know, man.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised, Kurt.
Well, the judicial, the ethics of it is the fact of, if his wife, because the rules are clear, the rules for disqualification, rule 211 for, if you guys want to see, the American Bar Association's ethics rules, and even the Supreme Court rules, they all say the same thing, right? If your wife or close family, you have to recuse yourself. So that's kind of where we're at. I don't know where you go from here if you're Thomas.
I tend to agree with what Andrew said. To the extent that she is implicated in any of this stuff, I think he should recuse himself going forward. He may not have known initially, but he knows now, and so I think he should recuse himself going forward.
Yeah. And now, is this a resigning thing? No. There's no resignations here, but recuse, sure, that's fine.
I mean, looking at impeachment of Supreme Court justices, there's literally only been one in the history of the Supreme Court. Yeah. It was Samuel Chase in 1804, or 1805 maybe. But so it's just the idea that you're going to impeach a Supreme Court justice. So something to note is that sometimes Congress does take action that kind of is intended to flex its power against the Supreme Court when it doesn't like what the Supreme Court is doing. And the best, the most common way that we have heard about this, and that especially recently, is packing the court. That's something that happened around the 1960s, right? When they, I think it was after the Warren Court. I can't remember exactly, but I think FDR was one that packed the court.
They tried to, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
He didn't succeed.
It was called the court packing plan, right?
That was the switch in time, save the nine situation.
Yeah. Something like that. But it's, like the number of justices has changed because, Congress decides like, oh, we don't like what you guys are doing. We're gonna, like
the number of justices hasn't changed since like 1840. It's been 9 for a while now.
Yeah.
Okay, I suppose that's right.
And by the way, it wasn't Samuel Chase. I actually looked this up, like what the grounds were, but actually it was for political purposes. It was because he was a partisan. So
yeah,
if we really want to go back to the grounds for impeachment, technically partisanship should be.
I tend to read it pretty wide. I think you can impeach over literally anything because I think the Senate is the sole judge. So I think the impeachment power means whatever Congress wants it to mean.
Well.
Whether or not they should is a whole nother set of problems.
That's very true.
You start down that road, ma'am.
Just so we all understand, there was one federal judge who was impeached for drunkenness. Literally, he was impeached for drunkenness. So impeachment is a political process. It's no legal process.
It really is. But I think that because of the nature of action prompting reaction from the opposite side, I would seriously hope that both sides would be thinking about that. I mean, this is like that would be essentially nuking the Supreme Court, because you run the risk of having an equal and just as explosive reaction from the opposite side that just ends up destroying the entire Supreme Court and all of our trust in that institution. Because, although I at least, I don't know, maybe I'm naive in this, maybe I'm alone in this, but I would think that there are many, many American institutions that people do not trust. And generally speaking, I think that people still have a lot of trust in the Supreme Court. What do you guys think?
One of the few institutions.
Exactly. So if they were to destroy that by engaging in political nuking like that, I just feel like it just would be bad for everyone.
I'm kind of two minds about this. One, it's been 9 people for so long. Should it ever be increased? In which world would it ever be increased? Or is 9 like the number forever? Is 9 like our, because it has been increased before. And and even the federal judiciary, it's changing all the time. They add new thing and add new courts and so forth and so forth. So I'm not sure, but I understand the importance of not wanting to pack it just to pack it. But maybe there could be some common ground where we can add, because maybe we can add a couple of more justices and give each side one or something like that to keep the numbers. But
I feel like that's not how it would end up, though.
That's never how it would work.
It would never end up. But there may be some solution in which you can just, where you can expand the court, but in a reasonable manner, because there's just more people, right?
But Nate, what problem are you solving with that? What problem are you solving with that? So, for example, is it caseload?
Well, 2 things. Number one, caseload, because you just have a lot more cases. But the second thing is that don't forget, each justice is responsible for a particular area. So that would take that, technically. So that would help that, because again, like the person who's in charge of the Ninth Circuit got like a lot of hell to cover.
A lot of work. A lot of appeals.
There was one interesting graph that was put up by one of the Democrats during the Senate confirmation hearing about the total number of opinions that come out of the U.S. Supreme Court, and show that it's been on a somewhat steep decline, which, again, since the number's been 9 for the last 170 years, it makes you wonder why the Supreme Court has been in decline in terms of the amount of throughput it's going through. But yeah, I mean, the Supreme Court doesn't issue as many opinions as it used to, even though it has the same number of people. So I don't know, man.
Maybe there were superfluous decisions before. Maybe they're deciding that these are more impactful.
Yeah, could be.
There was a bill. I'm not sure it was in the 40s or 50s about it was a sub Supreme Court. So you'd have all the appeals court. Then you'd have like a Supreme Court under the Supreme Court. So there'd be like this intermediate court that would kind of handle like Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court would then be even more prestigious. So, but that didn't work out well, because obviously the politics, like who would be on that court?
I mean, yeah, part of the reason the Supreme Court takes less cases because they don't have to take as many cases, because until was it like 1980s they had a lot more mandatory appeals, because they had to take all the 3-judge opinions, and there were a lot of more 3-judge opinions back before 1980 whatever it was when they had the Reform Act. So there was that's part of the reason, but still.
And don't forget they made the deal with Congress too, because there was before they took certiorari when they only had 5 votes. But now they have to take but then they had to make a deal with Congress, with Judge Roberts when he became Chief Justice, where they changed the rule where now you can get certiorari with only 4 votes, because they weren't taking enough Cases. So Judge Roberts and Congress did that rule, which is nice, which shows you that they're all working together.
Yeah, true. Let me get a few super chats here so we can hopefully get caught up. Okay, let's see here. 2012 Jameson says the charges before courts are not the same as Congress is saying, so the facts are different.
I don't.
Anti-commie says, I'll care when Kagan opinion gets yeeted from all the ACA cases, which she didn't while she lobbied for it prior, and is the reason why she's there.
I mean, she was recused from the cases she personally touched. I remember that happening.
Yeah, she was recused from a couple of when she was Solicitor General.
Yeah, well, and also Fisher v. UT Austin, she also recused herself from that because she had some fingerprints on the early part of that case, I think.
Yeah.
So she has also recused herself from some cases. Are you gonna say?
No, one of the interesting parts about the worst recusal in Supreme Court history is the Justice Scalia non-recusal. And
I was gonna talk about that. Yeah.
To those who don't know.
It's interesting because this is what highlights the fact that it really, at the end of the day, is discretionary because I can't remember exactly what case it was, but it involved the vice president, Dick Cheney.
It was Cheney. Now you maybe just because you said that, now I just forgot it. But it was Cheney v. something, and Cheney was actually named in the case.
And he's BFFs with them, right? So or he was BFFs with them because
they went on a hunting trip the weekend before the case was heard in front of the court.
Yeah, but you just because but he went out to the opera with RBG with Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
He went to India with RBG.
Going together. Yeah, but going with a fellow member of the court is one thing. He went with the defendant in the case. They went fishing, and
man,
you know what?
The fish. Come on, man, let's the fish.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, let me show you boss mode because Scalia with boss mode. He was like, of course, this is not going to make me impartial. What does it matter that I traveled on a government plane to my friend's house and to fishing, and people were acting like it's going to challenge my impartiality? No, there's no common person would know that this nobody's going to be bothered by it. And he was right. People were bothered by it, but it didn't really change anything, right? Because it was what it was. So, Scalia was boss mode. He pulled up Trump. He was like, "Yeah, I did it. So what?"
Well, and so this is that just was a very clear example of his interpretation of the duty to sit. That because he said, okay, maybe there's some perceived conflicts of interest, but those are unreasonable or unconvincing. To Scalia, they were definitely unreasonable and unconvincing.
Yeah.
So he was like, I don't need to recuse myself. And maybe he didn't, right? Like maybe he's the type of friend that will also still rip you to shreds if he thinks that you're wrong. Because that's also possible from your best friends. I've got some friends that are like that too, that will tell it like it is.
I would definitely do that for all y'all. No problem.
It's okay. Your game is fine now, but for some reason,
every once in a while when I come back in, it just wants to spike. I don't know what to tell you.
I know.
Is it because I just suddenly speak in a louder volume? I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
It's like
I don't know either. I'm not sure if maybe does your microphone have some kind of a setting that it like automatically sets to like the level of the room that it like modulates itself?
Well, there is the auto. It is set to auto change in the.
Maybe that might be the reason you
take it off
from auto change. Yeah.
Could be.
Well, actually, no. At the moment, it's not even set to auto. It's set to echo cancellation. I could turn that off.
Well, not within StreamYard, but does your mic have an app or a program that you can modify the volume?
No, it doesn't have any sort of app like that. No, it's just plugged straight in.
Interesting.
It's plugged in through it's plugged in through a solo interface, and I'm not changing the hardware, so I don't know.
Odd.
Oh man,
I hate it. I hate everyone. Or hate
your mic. Your mic should recuse itself.
It should recuse itself. Absolutely. It is assaulting everyone's ears. 2012 Jameson says, Nate, January 6th committee may not even be valid. In fantasy.
I don't think that's the case, but everybody can have their wishes.
Yeah, it would be hard. It would be hard to be kind of invalid on some level because Congress is the judge of its own rules.
Yeah.
Right,
so it's like, I'm not sure even what your theory would be. To be
honest.
honest.
That's wishful thinking.
Yeah, it is wishful thinking.
In Fantasy I Die says all liars lying in state, Sudoku them all. I'm not sure what that means. Sudoku them all. I guess lining them up 1 through 9. I'm not sure. I like Sudoku. It's a fun game, especially when you're sitting on an airplane. Anyway, I'll continue.
I guess the point is that, like they said, the investigations can technically be for anything ridiculous. They're making up their own rules. So, yeah, exactly. It's improper. It's improper if they say it's improper.
Yeah.
And no legislative purpose. I mean, it's not too hard to conjure ideas of legislation that could come out of the committee. To come up with a legislative purpose.
They are masters at bullshitting legislative purpose.
Yeah,
the Capitol was attacked. What more legislative purpose do you need?
So just for
it goes inherent to the you can go even one step more than legislative purpose. Goes to the inherent
autonomy of the branch. I'm just going to be so happy when we can move the news cycle past this. It's like how many Januaries do we have to pass before
this is their Benghazi? This is the less Benghazi. This is the Benghazi. We had the special select committee for Benghazi. As soon as the Democrats took the gavel, gone. As soon as the Republicans take the gavel this election cycle, this is gone. So it just is. What it is.
And for the people listening on audio, we've got a super chat up from 2012. Jameson that says the investigation is in and of itself improperly done and with no legislative purpose. So that's what everybody's reacting to.
Yeah.
Fun times. Okay, 2012 Jameson says this is more like William O'Donnell impeachment effort for Thomas.
I don't know what that means.
No, that would be more like if they're trying to do that to KBJ, but she got a relative softball, I think, overall.
Yeah, she's going in, even though she can't define what a woman is. She's. I like Ted Cruz. He's like, you're the only one in 100 years that can't define what.
Alita, pull up the meme I sent in the private chat.
There's so many good ones I've seen.
It's on point. It's on point, though. It's on point.
Okay.
I've seen so many of these memes on these lines.
It's on point. It's a nexus that you will love. It's a nexus. It's a merger.
This is what I'm thinking of.
It's the one. It's the one I'm thinking of. I posted it earlier today. So
yeah, it was a good one.
It's a solid one. There's so many. They're so good. They're so good. I love the memes. They make me happy on the inside. When so many things make me die on the inside.
I'm not a slapologist.
What chromosomes does that slap have? Who knows? I'm not
a slapologist.
So good. But no, there was no right answer for her. I mean, she could not have answered.
There really wasn't.
I would have pressed
the
it
left
more,
would have
though.
canceled her regardless.
My criticism of the senator at that point was not pressing the point, because I wanted to press the point. I'd be like, Biden said he was going to nominate the first black woman nominee. Are you a black woman? And so presumably she says yes. I say, okay, then what's a woman? How do you know you're a woman? How do you know you're a woman? How do you know that?
No, but you know what? It's an easy question to, I don't think she realized the question was coming. And that's what caught her. She didn't realize.
I don't think she was expecting it either.
Because the way you answer that question is, well, yes, there's a dictionary definition of a woman, but legally that may be a little bit more complicated because we're talking about things that are based on sex. And just like Judge Gorsuch, he made the decision that even gender identity could be found under sex. So defining on what a woman and what a man is under this legal climate, it could come before the Supreme Court. So I don't want to give a definitive answer, but if you ask me, just read a dictionary definition, I can Google it and tell you what Google says, but that may not be the legal reality.
Right.
Nate, that's a very good lawyerly answer, and she did not give it. She did not give that answer.
I'm not a biologist.
No, but the thing is that I really think that she seemed like she was caught on the back foot with that question, and I think there were at least a few other questions that she was sort of caught off guard by as well. That I can't think of them at the moment, but for whatever reason, they just were not prepared for a particularly eloquent answer. And to be fair, I mean, this is a very high stress moment for her, no doubt. And a lot of the questions, it could have been much higher stress. It could have been a Kavanaugh hearing, but
there are articles saying it was worse than Kavanaugh. I think the Washington Post wrote that. So the Republicans promised not to pull a Kavanaugh.
No.
They're right. It was even worse. It was 1,000,000 times worse than Kavanaugh. Like, Kavanaugh really? Okay.
Kavanaugh was much worse.
No. And to be clear, the right answer, the wrong answer, we're talking about politically, legally, all kinds of different ways of defining a proper response to this answer. And there is no easy one. There's no simple
I got the black pill
that she can give that would be correct to anyone.
I got the black pill definitions of woman.
Of course you do.
Say it, Kurt. Do it. I'm a bad influence here.
It's the worst monsters that walk this earth.
Oh, you do that well, Lita. You do that very well.
Thank you. A little too much practice. No, just kidding. So I think that was just I think what the answer that Nate gave that would have been a good answer. I wouldn't be surprised if she actually walked home that day or drove home that day or whatever, like as she was, having a drink at the end of the day, trying to like get rid of the whole day out of her brain. She probably was like, I probably could have said, bleh. Because everybody does that, right?
That's self-reflection. Like, damn. I'm the first black woman and I don't even know what a woman is. Ain't this some shit?
and I looked like I didn't know because biology and non-bio, like you know, like I just I highly doubt that she went home at the end of the day that day and was like, yeah, I nailed it.
Well, I think that she did get pretty heated at one point. I mean, if you saw some of her exchanges, you can definitely see she was getting the sass. She did a lip smack at one point. I caught into the lip smack, and I'm like, oof, you know, she's pissed.
She definitely had some frustrations at some of the answers or some of the questions, and I do understand why, because there was a lot of political grandstanding. That's like, you know, like it's
well, hold on though. Are you calling the map her being light on the maps?
No, because that's about her actual record and about her like her decisions as a judge, you know, like, so that is a bit more relevant. But I mean, like, questions about, I guess questions about CRT, but really like
that's very relevant.
Okay, yeah. But what I'm saying is that there were a lot of questions that were asked, and the same thing happened with ACB and with Kavanaugh. You know, you had, you know, Cory Booker make really big eyes because he was making what he thought was a very serious point, but it was grandstanding, you know, and you know, and then on the right, you had people that were like, you know, tripping over themselves to give accolades to ACB. The same thing happened here, but it was just the roles were reversed, right? You had some people that decided to try to be like vicious attack dogs, like Lindsey Graham decided to go off on you know, something about Gitmo for some reason that no one seems to know why.
What are we talking about?
Lindsey Graham's futile rage is just like humor, pure humor.
It was, and then you had again Cory Booker tripping over himself to talk about, you know,
Cory Booker's masturbatory fantasies were a little bit much to watch, though, man. I didn't know they let you stream that in Congress.
You know,
as he was head over the murder capital of the world. I mean, I just can't get over that. But anyways,
Newark, New Jersey. You know, it's the thing that pisses me off about this nomination process. She's going to be, I would vote for her. She's going to be confirmed. There's nothing that we can do about it. But one thing that did upset me is I expect whenever a Supreme Court nominee to go up there from whatever the other party is going to roast that person. They're going to get in. They're going to try to because that's their job, to get this person, make this person look like a fool because they know it's political points, right? It's a performance for them, and we all expect it. But the news media was making it, oh, well, we can't, you know, they can't try to make her mad because they'll go into these tropes about being an angry black man and angry black woman and that type of thing. And I'm like, you know what? This is the racism of low expectations, right? It's because when they did this to Kavanaugh, right? They had a Kavanaugh talking about, I hate beer, and he was all razzled and dazzled, but he still
he said, I like beer.
Oh, he liked beer, right? And but he did get upset. He got very upset, very flustered. He was right there for all to see, and he still made it through, right? There was this whole thing about you can't push, you got to treat this Supreme Court justice. We can't sit there and with two things out of our mouth. In one instance, say this is the most qualified person ever to be on the Supreme Court, and then say we got to treat them with kid gloves when it comes to getting up there and making the pitch to why they should be up to the Supreme Court. I think she should be treated just like Kavanaugh and the rest of them. And if you want this job, you got to go through the fire. And then we can't then make excuses that we can't treat her the same because she is a black woman. No bullshit. I want her to be treated the same because it does two things. It shows you that a black woman could go through it and should be up there, and it earns her spot. I think Biden has done a huge disservice to this woman by saying, I'm going to nominate a black woman. He should have said, I'm going to nominate the best person. This is that best person. And then two, this whole, we're not going to try to anger her through the confirmation process. No, it should have been, we're going to try to do whatever we can to get her off. And if she survives it, then she deserves this lifetime appointment. But again, I'm a madman, so.
No, I like it. The gauntlet. It's the gauntlet. It's surviving the gauntlet. And that's a tried and true way. I mean, we all survived through law school. We all survived the gauntlet of the bar exam. We all survived the first year of law school, going through the gauntlet. You're all, it's a bonding experience.
Speaking of surviving gauntlets. Heyo.
Hey.
What's up, Good Logic?
I'm out.
Good Logic.
It's funny. If Andrew hadn't spoken,
I can't.
The segue that Legalbytes was about to use is speaking of madmen.
No, it was going to be speaking of doing a disservice to the public.
Oh, no.
That's even better.
Oh,
That's even better. That's even better.
Breaking news. The Academy. All right, so yesterday the Academy came out and said they asked Will to leave. Now members of the Academy saying that was a lie. They didn't ask him to leave.
And
So the
survey
judge
says
that.
Wait a
that
second.
was a lie.
I'll
But-
share it.
What do you
does
guys
it-
think?
So they can't even get their
Maybe it
story
was
straight
like they
about.
suggested it. They're like, "Gosh, golly, it'd be great if you'd leave now," and they didn't actually say, "Hey, you got to leave." Now.
I will say on that, by the way, that a lot of people, like, I think we've all covered this story, right? And when I was covering it, everyone was asking me why the hell they didn't clip it out. And I think I actually read that they tried clipping, but they burnt their 30 seconds and it just kept going on for like 3 minutes or so. So everyone was like, why did they clip it? Why did they clip it? It's like, look, after the slap, they tried clipping like as fast as they can, and they still was just, they couldn't clip it. There was like, apparently that some people ran over to
TMZ
Chris
says
Rock. What I actually read is that people ran over to Chris Rock to be like, dude, are you physically okay?
I did see that. I saw his publicist.
And that's
yes,
the part,
whatever that word is.
So that's the part they decided to cut. Is we don't want to see everyone like running up there to see if he's okay. But even, I don't know if you guys noticed, if you watch the rest of his presentation of the award, but he seems like he's trying to hold it together, and he like a pro. He actually does do a fairly good job, but that's when I knew for sure this is real, because he was like having a difficult time emotionally holding it together. It's a weird mix of emotions you have when someone that famous comes up in front of the entire world and smacks you like that. It's not like you're just like keep rolling.
And the thing is, I mean, remember, he's a stand-up comedian, right? So he's used to dealing with hecklers while he's on stage and making, rolling with it, turning it into a joke, and then continuing on. But I don't think he's ever dealt with actually being hit by somebody because of a joke. So like, that's a whole other experience to try to frame in and be like, okay, how do I use this? How do I make a joke? I'm also really angry at this person for making a fool out of me and for, hitting me, invading my space, and like all this kind of stuff. It's like, he probably had like so many thoughts just, jumping through his head of like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And you can see him struggling to sort of figure it out, but he does it in very fast flashes. And then he's like, okay, that was the craziest night in television. Like it's, I give him mad props for that too.
Alita, I got to keep it 100. If I was on that stage, you'd have seen a WWE fucking wrestling match. We'd have been up there. We'd have went straight blank moment, right? It would have been. Oh, Nate's tackled Will Smith, and it's all hell. Who's in the Oscars, right? He's ripped off his shirt and now saying, "I'm gonna kill him." Like it would have been all. We'd have been straight thug street. I would have lost it. I would have lost it because it. Listen, at that moment, for you to get up, if that was The Rock up there. Will Smith's not getting up to slap anybody, right? He got up there because he saw 5'5" or 5'6", 5'7" Chris Rock, 130 pounds soaking wet, and he's a 6'2" man, 200 pounds, and he went up there and smacked him and was like, "What you going to do?" And that's essentially, and we all understand Will Smith has issues with his wife sleeping with other people, had a 1-year relationship that he okayed and all this other stuff. We understand that. But you don't take your masculinity out on me.
Maybe not so much with letting her wife just bang everyone in sight. That maybe that's the way to go.
That's his issue, though. That's not my issue, right?
Well, he made it his issue.
I know. That's why we'd have been rolling on them.
Exactly.
We'd have been full fool up there. They'd have been like, "Yo, we got to stop the show," and because Nate just went crazy.
and Nate, if you slow down the video, you can see that there's a moment which somebody told me I had to slow down the video and stop, where he squares up a little bit afterwards, and then Will backs
there's
off.
A frame where there's definitely a frame where it seems like he's contemplating.
He's contemplating, an actual fight.
But that's because he's a consummate professional. Like he showed restraint. He showed professionalism. I think, I still applaud him for maintaining his composure through all of that.
I think it's also possible. I think it's also possible that he's in that moment when it first happens. You're in such shock. I think he probably was trying to, on one level, try to figure out whether he might have been in the wrong. Like maybe he did something wrong here, and how the world is. He knows he's being judged by the world for this, what's happening here. Everyone's going to be dissecting this. This is that this is. He even said the greatest night in television because he knows this is something that's going to be viral. Everyone's going to be talking about it. Yeah. And when you're there, and you know you have your own bias, you know that you're thinking to yourself, are people going to look at Will Smith? Maybe because it's Will Smith, maybe because I made a joke about a woman who has disease. Is the whole world now going to look at me like I was wrong and take his side, and my career might be over? I mean, from Chris Rock's perspective, for a few seconds, that has to be going through his head. Imagine he had said something terrible, like really terrible, right? And got beaten the crap out of. You could see how a comedian's career could be over in a heartbeat. Yeah. So in that second, he's probably trying to process whether or not he actually made such a bad error of judgment and he's, and his career could be flashing before his eyes. So that could be part of his decision-making process as to how he responds also. It's easy for us to afterwards say, yeah, obviously he was right. But when you're there in the moment, you don't know that everyone's thinking that. No.
So, just think about, though, where our society, this is, I've been calling it an overcorrection in the market. Before, black guys would be the first to arrest. You as a black person, you have to kind of feel like you're on the eggshells. If you do something wrong, they're going to be quick to arrest you and hold you accountable. But if you're a white, they're going to give you a pass, right? That was the way we've been held. But I think now we've gotten to the point where we're aware of that. So we're trying to kind of stop doing that. But we've gone the whole opposite way, where now you got black guys literally assaulting people on stage in front of millions of people. And not only is he not arrested, they gave him a fucking award and let him make a speech. It's like we've gone we've gone the opposite way here. We need to get back to reality. And it's because the left thinks about it. It never. When you even listen to Whoopi, while Whoopi said he wasn't taken out, it wasn't because of what he did. It wasn't because of anything. It was because he was black, and that's what they look at. If it's a black man, we don't want to have the view of removing this black man and locking up this black man. Damn what he does. And that's what it's about. It's not about him being black. It's about him assaulting someone. And it's not even about him assaulting another black man. It was about him assaulting. It's about, well, he's a black man and we don't want to look like we're locking up black men. No, that's ridiculous. You got to lock people up when they do crime. This guy committed a crime in front of everyone. And not only it shows you the privilege, it shows you the audacity of Hollywood to stand up and cheer this man. Right. Cheered this man, and he did, and it wasn't like he assaulted a white guy. He didn't assault the evil white guy. He assaulted the black man, and he cheered. They cheered his crime. Right. That's crazy.
Imagine if Ryan Reynolds does it. I think he gets called a racist for punching a black
guy. No. He gets dragged out. If Ryan Reynolds did that to George Clooney, he's out. He's out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced about that. I don't really know, because these people are in their own little world of elitism. I don't know what would have happened to any two other random people.
What are you trying to say?
That's very.
They're in their own little world of elitism.
Well, Whoopi was the one.
Say what?
Alita. I wouldn't even say what I said.
A joke about her name. Kurt. Alita. She's saying her name is Alita. You said elitism.
It's even funnier when you have to explain the joke.
Well, I missed that one completely. Sorry to just kill the humor on that one. I'm just gonna go away.
So, Nate, I want to ask you, do you think because I interpret this as racism by the woke left, and I want to ask you your opinion on this. I was reading that the woke left was saying that this is a reflection of racism of white gays. Did you ever hear the term even white gays? I first heard this term yesterday.
Of course you've heard white gays.
So that there's an expectation that black people should act a certain way, more civilized when you're around white people. And that is a reflection of the systemic racism of our country.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I was arguing with somebody. I was arguing with an idiot.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. I was arguing with somebody who was saying that stupid shit the other day. The reason why that pisses me off is it's time, place, and manner. If I'm at a bar and you say something like that about my wife, you may get a slap, you may get a punch, you may get physical, right? That's different than a workplace event or at the goddamn Oscars. I think about give me the Presidential Medal of Freedom. He says, "Hey, Nate's wife's G.I. Jane Part 2," and I get up there and smack the president. Right? Is that really what we're talking about? Different places you can do different things. That's what it's about. If we're at a bar, you got a problem. If we're at the Oscars, I could take a little more. Does that make sense, Joe?
No. Like, my question to you is: isn't the implication of that well, if white people are around, black people will kill each other? That's basically the implication of white.
That's what they're trying to say. Yeah.
That's really what they're saying, and I'm like, wow, that's such a racist
of
position to have.
Yeah.
But it's
crazy.
Yeah, because it's not about being around white people. If they did this at the Soul Music Awards or what is it called, the NAACP Image Awards, right? It's like the Black Oscars. You would expect the same reaction. You know, it's not about who is there. It's about the event that you're at and what you're celebrating.
Well, if it was, by the way, if it was at a bar, that would be like saying, "Go get your effing shine box," and then all of a sudden, bam, bam,
shine box. Goodfellas reference, if you guys don't know.
I know.
Well, I want to interrupt this this conversation real quick with a sponsor that is our Illegal Mindset live stream.
Oh my god!
What?
I'm just kidding. Obviously, you guys aren't sponsoring. Can you guys hear that?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yes, this is so good. This is so good. I'm gonna get you back
what?
for this.
This is I love this clip so much, but this is from last week when I had, of course,
this is 20 minutes ago.
No, this was a full-on rant with the two of them talking over each other nonstop. It's hilarious. Let's just play it for a little second.
That's what I do. That's my whole.
What happens?
Oh my god!
I don't know. We just control the banks and the media. We just control the world. That's all.
I'm sorry. Why don't we know where you come from? Why don't we know your last name?
It'll be a good deal. Don't worry about it. It'll be a really good deal.
Maybe your last name is actually.
And we'll throw in some Manischewitz. And you know what?
No one knows. Maybe your last name.
Because you're really nice.
No one knows.
We'll give you a lot,
guys.
We'll give you a lot.
Could be literally. I don't think Goebbels. You're Andrew Goebbels. That's
Okay. All right,
Doxed.
Goebbels.
Oh my god.
Andrew Goebbels, totally doxed. Yeah.
That's it.
It wasn't even my idea to bring that up during this live stream. Mr. Bites enjoyed that so much that he was like, please introduce that once again.
And if you enjoy that type of thing, check out Andrew and Jew tomorrow with
tonight.
Joe on
God, you
tonight.
Oh my God! I can't believe you just said tomorrow. No! Stop! I just want to point this out. Okay, last night at 9:30 my time. At 9:30 my time.
Why are you calling me out for this?
I get a DM from him saying, "Dude, send me the link," and I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "We're supposed to be starting 9:30. Send me the link." He's like, "Send me the link." I was like, "Dude, that's tomorrow. That's freaking tomorrow. What are you talking about?" And I was mocking him. I'm mocking
never
him. I'm
DM
like,
Joe anything. He will expose your DMs. He will dox you.
No,
he
I
will
wasn't
stress
going
you
to.
out. Joe is a rat. You will end up in the Hudson River if you listen to Joe and you DM him anything. You DM him anything. You can't trust him. You can't trust him.
You just did it again.
There's a legacy of distrust with Joe.
Just did it again. You're like, okay, check us out next Saturday when I'm going to be on Joe. I'm like, dude, it's tonight. What the hell are you talking about? It's tonight.
To be fair, being the other person that's outside of the United States, sometimes tomorrow and tonight and yesterday are a little bit confusing.
Okay, so the audience is tonight. He and I, together with another guy some of you might have heard of named Drex, are going to be on my show starting an hour early at 9:00. So 9:00 tonight, Andrew. I'll be sending you a link before that, and you'll know. It'll probably come a few hours before. So tonight,
if I get enough sleep, we'll see.
There you go.
It's 2:27. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm sleeping.
Well, fantastic. But yeah, I'm very glad to have all four of you on today. And of course, last week I had boss attorney Bree on again, and this week she's on vacation, so she couldn't join. But it's been great introducing her to everybody and getting her into the fray. So anyhow, let's talk about the next subject. I don't know how many of you guys are into baseball. Is it just me? Am I the only one? All right, huge Dodger fan over here. Oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah,
You're a Yankees fan, I'm guessing?
Obviously.
No.
Okay.
Fuck the
Well,
Yankees.
maybe
I'm a
not.
Mets fan, baby.
Okay, there you go. Okay. Well, anyhow, both of those only really are great in New York because the Dodgers left, but that's just my opinion.
Obviously.
Yeah.
But anyhow, so speaking of the Dodgers, we have another story that is a defamation case by this time an athlete. It's Trevor Bauer, who used to be on the Dodgers. He has a lawsuit against the athletic media company and Molly Knight, a journalist. They published an article about him, which he alleges actual malice. So let me go through just the quick bite on the nature of the action, and then we can kind of talk about it, because I love these defamation cases, and I love the Dodgers, and I love baseball, and opening day starts next week, so I'm excited. Okay, nature of the action, and actually maybe it would be good if I shared the screen so you guys could follow along, right? Hello,
Yeah.
hi, welcome to LawTube, Legalbytes. Okay.
He's had a weird career. This kid was one of the most highly touted pitchers coming out of the minors. Like, I can't even tell you how highly touted he was.
Yeah.
And then he didn't quite hit his stride right away. He struggled, and he's been in so many controversies, bouncing around from team to team because of him. So because he's kind of he's a little bit crazy. A little bit crazy.
Well, he's got some interesting tastes, for sure. But I think that is kind of what gives rise to this case. So Trevor Bauer v. Athletic Media Company and Molly Knight. Nature of the action. In May and June 2021, plaintiff Trevor Bauer was falsely accused of sexual assault by a woman, also known as a complainant. Two independent arbiters, a California Superior Court judge and the Los Angeles District Attorney's Office, reviewed her claims. The California Superior Court judge concluded that the complainant's petition for a restraining order against Mr. Bauer was materially misleading. In denying that petition, the court further found that there was no act of abuse, including no physical or sexual assault by Mr. Bauer. The district attorney's office.
A woman exaggerated her claims.
Never happened. This must be the first time ever in the history.
Sometimes it happens. Let's continue and find out what happened. The district attorney's office declined to prosecute Mr. Bauer after a thorough review of all the available evidence, including the civil restraining order proceedings, witness statements, and the physical evidence, and specifically noted the complainant's failure to meet the very low standard for obtaining a restraining order. Despite being cleared by those independent arbiters, Mr. Bauer had already been convicted by the media through false and malicious reporting. Within days of the complainant filing a petition for a restraining order against Mr. Bauer, the online sports news website, The Athletic, and its former employee, Molly Knight, the defendants, defamed Mr. Bauer by creating and spreading the false narrative that Mr. Bauer fractured the complainant's skull. There was no basis for that assertion because the complainant's own medical records, which The Athletic possessed, showed that she had no such fracture.
That would do it. That rings the bell, right?
You're looking for it, right?
That rings the bell for actual malice.
Where's the knowledge or the reckless disregard, right?
That'll do it.
That would be it, right? So it showed that she had no such fracture. Nonetheless, consistent with their prior and subsequent expressions of animus toward Mr. Bauer, The Athletic and Miss Knight publicized that false attack, which was picked up and further disseminated to a larger audience by other media outlets and social media sites. The Athletic published the defamatory statements on June 30th, 2021. In its article, graphic details, photos emerge in restraining order filed against Dodgers pitcher Trevor Bauer, aka the article. The article purported to report on the complainant's petition for a restraining order, which included a declaration from the complainant and exhibits that included her medical records. The article stated that the complainant had signs of a basilar skull fracture. Or is it basilar? Basilar.
What does that even mean?
I think at the base of her skull.
Okay.
And that she received CT scans of her brain, neck, and face. The clear implication was that the CT scans confirmed the skull fracture, but the article ignored the results of the CT scans that showed no skull fracture. By omitting those results, the article conveyed the false message that the complainant had suffered a skull fracture. Miss Knight also explicitly communicated this false message in 3 tweets to her over 100,000 followers. Each of her tweets falsely referred to a cracked or fractured skull in describing the complainant's allegations against Mr. Bauer. Defendants acted with actual malice because they deliberately ignored the truth, which was evident in the medical records possessed by The Athletic, and because the defendants' defamatory statements were part of a campaign to harass Mr. Bauer, as evidenced by, among other actions, their prior and subsequent false and misleading statements about his conduct and character, their efforts to dissuade Major League Baseball teams from signing him, and their strident complaints about the Los Angeles Dodgers' decision to add him to their team. Mr. Bauer now brings this action seeking redress for defendants' defamatory and malicious actions.
I'm sold.
What do you guys think?
I'm sold.
So to be just, for anybody that isn't familiar with defamation cases, these are the elements that you have to prove. You have to show, the plaintiff has to prove that the defendant lied about them to a third party. And because it's a public figure, you have to show that they did so with actual malice, which is the hard part in any of these cases. They have to show actual malice, which basically translates to either the defendant knew that what they were saying is false, or they acted with reckless disregard as to the truth or falsity of that statement. And then damages, which I can't remember if he's suing for per se, but I would imagine that this is per se defamation, because it's that. I mean, it's something alleging violence and criminal liability and things like that is implicated here. So, so what do you guys think? Based on assuming those facts are true, liability, no liability, you need to know more.
I think we got liability. I think the question comes to, how much are his damages, which is always going to be tough but it seems like if they're proven true, that's certain. I would think that this will be one of the few cases that would stand an anti-SLAPP motion.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good start. That's a good start in California. That's a pretty good start. So.
Yeah. Well, although I will say that anti-SLAPP in California is very strong. Unlike other places like Virginia, that I learned through the Depp v. Heard case, is that anti-SLAPP there is very, very weird. It doesn't have a specific process, whereas California has a very specific process. You do it very first thing. It's a special motion to strike. And so we would know very early on as to whether or not this would get the anti-SLAPP treatment. But I don't see this actually falling prey to an anti-SLAPP motion either. And for anybody that isn't familiar with anti-SLAPP, that is, so SLAPP stands for Strategic Lawsuit Against Public Participation. So an anti-SLAPP lawsuit basically kind of would be the defendants turning this lawsuit and turning it around and saying, you are doing something to infringe my First Amendment rights somehow through, trying to chill my public participation, either by you are suing me for filing a lawsuit or speaking out about, whatever. But the thing about defamation actions is if they are actually lying about something, that's not something that is constitutionally protected.
Yeah. Although if I was on the woke left, I would say that California's anti-SLAPP laws are kind of racist because they're obviously targeting Will Smith.
Oh, so. Yes.
Oh, no.
Very good.
That's nice.
Very good. Bring it full circle.
Unfortunately, got to run, guys. I will see you guys a little bit. How long are you guys going to be staying around? For another half hour or so?
Probably half hour or less even.
I got to run because I got to now make some phone calls for my kid's school.
Sounds
I will see you guys a little later, and we'll fight again soon after.
So yeah, I mean, this does seem at least on this initial thing. I mean, usually when I just read the intro factual section, there are some questions at least. But this does appear to me, even from this portion, to at the very least overcome a motion to dismiss. So anyhow, but the way in which she got the alleged injuries is a little bit a little crazy. A little crazy because apparently it's from being particularly rowdy in the bedroom. He says, and this is not to shame anyone that is into all kinds of, I know Andrew, you're big on not kink shaming.
I'm big on it. Big on it. For no personal reason whatsoever. Just completely arbitrarily big on it. Yes. Right. Completely arbitrarily.
So but
I've heard he's not quite as big on it as he claims.
Joe, do I need to play my video? Come on, Joe.
Oh, here we go. I don't know if you play that on YouTube, but
no, but so I always feel very funny talking about these kinds of subjects and like describing them, and I feel like I don't know. Anyway, well, we can continue, but basically, he says that he likes a certain level of activity in the bedroom, and it was all consensual, and it was only later on.
Except for there's no such thing as consent to that at all. You cannot consent to assault or battery as part of sexual activities. That's the whole thing where like BDSM contracts, which I've talked about, completely unenforceable. There's actually a lot of case law on that. There's and one was from New York. You might have known the guy. This girl like consented.
I've had several careers, so.
Well, there you go. She consented to be pretty much like beat up as part of a sexual encounter. But the court said, no, it doesn't matter. Like and the cops eventually found her. People called, and said, hey, we're going to look into this. She didn't want to press charges, but it doesn't matter, right? The police can go ahead uniformly or unilaterally and press charges, which they did against this guy. Because he, severely injured her, like almost bit off her nipple. There was it was like pretty violent stuff. But once again, she consented to the behavior, but the court said you cannot consent to that. Like there's certain levels that you can't consent to. So
that makes sense because there's also the policy that you can't contract for something that's unlawful or illegal, right?
Murder, right? So that's the whole cannibal case, right? So you can't say, hey, I give you permission to eat me, Kurt. Kurt can eat me. If Kurt eats me, he's still guilty of murder.
Hold on a second.
Only if he kills you, otherwise just desecration of a corpse.
Let's
just mere desecration. Mere desecration.
But let's think this through for a second, okay? You can't consent for the commission of a crime. You can't contract for the commission of a crime. But if she consents, if I consent in theory, it's not offensive touching. It's something that I agreed to. So it's not really offensive. It's something that I'm fine with.
The sexual crimes can't be consented to.
What I'm saying is whatever logic we want to say. Battery and
assault cannot be consented to. There's case law.
No,
the case law says it. I'm
not arguing.
But to what limits? Like if you say,
I'm not arguing that.
I mean, because isn't like consent typically a defense to a battery charge in many jurisdictions? Or am I just making shit up? Because like.
I would think that you should be able to consent to battery. Why should
I have to find these cases
or to what would be battery?
Context.
I would think that you should be able to consent to it, and then it's no longer battery. In other words, battery means unoffensive touching. If it's not offensive to me for you to punch me in the face, I don't mind. Look, let's think of it this way. When someone goes to a chiropractor, the chiropractor might end up hurting the person and touching them in ways that in other situations would be considered offensive. But in that situation, it's not considered offensive because that's exactly what you're consenting to for the purposes of medical treatment. So too, if someone says, I like being punched in the face, right? Which is something that I'm sure Andrew has probably said half a dozen times. So you basically, I'm just joking around with you. He's my favorite.
It's almost not a joke though, and I'm still within the statute of limitations. So
sorry, I was just distracted by channel admin stuff because we started getting Legalbytes feet bot spam again. It happened on my last stream too.
Everybody gets feet. Everybody gets feet.
Right. I'm basically in the most enviable position in the world because I'm situated right below.
I can kick him if I want.
And trust me, some people in your audience would really appreciate it.
$12.99 on OnlyFans for the kicking. For the kicking.
It's not my thing at all. I've never understood the feet thing to me. I actually think that
it's funny to me.
As an aside, I actually always assume that people who are into feet
it's a sub thing. It's a submissive thing.
Yes, it's very much a thing.
Submissive thing.
You're basically it's in your mind. It's something having to do with like kissing the feet of the woman or something like that. That's what I think. That's what I think it actually plays into.
It's biblical, that Jesus kisses the feet. Oh, well, not Jesus. Okay, sorry, that's offensive. Some other guy in the Torah. I mean, somebody kissed the feet.
No, I think Jesus did it too at one point. I think.
Yeah, he did,
he washed.
I was trying not to offend Joe.
Alita. Of the lepers.
Joe.
Yeah. You washed the feet of the lepers, right?
Well, it was a servant actually, and it was a sign of like I am the same level as the lowly servants that nobody wants to be with.
Which only goes to prove my point that a man is like saying I am no higher than you, which is kind of like the whole trying to subserviate. himself to the woman, like basically saying like, you're above me. That's part of the whole beta element to it that I just whatever. Anyway, but I didn't want to go down that road. We're talking about the whole concept as to whether or not this should be something that's considered illegal. And I'm not disputing Andrew on the law. I'm going to defer to his background. I've never looked into this. But that's what I'm saying is I'm having a difficult time understanding the rationale as to why someone cannot consent to getting smacked around, literally, because it wouldn't be an offensive touching. And it's no longer a crime. I would think you specifically need to write a law like that. I would think that's beyond the purview of a judiciary unless they're engaging in judicial legislation. Because
the only thing that I can think of that might be is like with the particularly serious injury, maybe there's something there with like breaking bones or something. But
like public policy. You're saying it's a public policy.
Maybe there's something there, but it feels like there's some limitations somewhere around. I think Andrew might be overstating his case, but there might be some truth in there somewhere.
Okay, so I'll take the other position. I'll take the opposite position. Clearly, one cannot consent to a snuff film, to being the victim in a snuff film.
Yeah,
right? That's obvious. We all would agree with that. You can't consent to being snuff film is for your audience who's still not tainted by society. Is a reference to a movie where someone basically in the process of engaging in coitus, they kill the person. So that
some real Black Widow situation.
Right. So that you obviously cannot consent to.
This feels like the first time that Alita's heard this information.
I feel like you're Viva when we taught him what hentai was. You know, it's like
sometimes I know as Joe was like, for the people that haven't been tainted by this yet, I'm like, maybe me. Explain for them, Joe.
Joe always goes right for the taints. Don't worry. Joe does not miss. Joe does not miss.
Well done. I like that. I like that. Well done. Nice done, my brother.
Yeah, I'm just reading up on case law. Sorry, I was reading State versus Van, which is about a master-slave relationship, which they said can't be consented to. There's a number of other cases. You know what, guys? I promise to do my due diligence and come back, and I will bring on uncivil law, good logic, and definitely Alita and force them
BDSM contracts and you from Legal Mindset, a future video to come down.
Yes, it will come down. I need to do more research on this, guys. I'm sorry. And I'm not saying that I was asked to research this, and the reason why I know a little bit much about this is not because somebody asked me to draft a BDSM contract for them, and I didn't want to put my name on it as a lawyer. That is totally not why I know any about this.
Not at all.
Totally not knowing. I have
not
no
at all.
clue.
Not at all.
No way. No way.
Definitely not. Never. I don't know. Never would that ever.
You run in some really, really wild circles. Andrew.
You don't even want to know, man. Anyways, tomorrow on Joe's show.
Well, let's get into the last main subject for this live stream, and this is that the Louisiana Supreme Court basically determined last Friday that the protest leader can be sued for something that a rally member did. Do you guys know about this case?
No, but it's basically the same holding from the Virginia Charlottesville thing, where the leaders and organizers of that were held civilly responsible.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's the same basic theory, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's basically it. I mean, I don't know what your guys' thoughts on this are, but I'm a little bit conflicted, to be honest, because, now this is so let me clarify. So this is, this specific case is about BLM. This could be Proud Boys. This could be BLM. This could be, January 6th. This could be anything on either side of the political spectrum. And it concerns me, at least, the concerns that I have are there regardless. Because of the fact that, I of course, I understand that you have a First Amendment right to certain speech, but you don't have a First Amendment right to violence. But it's the idea that someone who organizes an event is going to be held responsible for something that somebody there attended because of a negligent standard is a little bit concerning of a standard to me. I think it's the negligence part of it that kind of hangs on me a little bit.
You're saying you have a Brandenburg issue with it.
Well, we don't know. I mean, I don't know the facts of this case. Here's the thing, and I kind of take a little bit of offense to the like the equivalencies there, because I mean it's each incident, right? Because there's plenty of times when the Proud Boys show up and there's no violence, right? There's plenty of times when people show up and there's no violence. There's BLM that shows up and no violence. So you got to go, okay, in this instance, what did they actually do?
Right, of course. And when I'm listing these various groups, I'm not saying that they are equal to one another in different. I'm just listing, like, if this were a situation that implicated BLM versus implicated the Proud Boys versus implicated like literally any political group that exists. That was my point.
And but I guess the thing is that and the reason why I say is because like Enrique Tarrio was locked up, but he wasn't locked up, the leader of the Proud Boys, right? He wasn't locked up for inciting violence. The only thing they could get him on was, I think, like, what is it? Something about a flag or something like that. I forget what the charge was, but it wasn't actually violence. It was something else. There's a big difference between locking somebody up for their political beliefs, which I totally stand against no matter what political spectrum you are, and locking somebody up for inciting violence. And I don't know the facts of this case, but if this guy actually incited violence, then yes, immediate violence, the Brandenburg thing, right? Mm-hmm. If it passes Brandenburg muster and he incited immediate violence, he deserves to be locked up, regardless of political spectrum. So, I mean, it could very well be the case. And if he showed up with a pallet of bricks and said, let's go rock, let's go throw these,
And the thing is that, you can always have disruptors show up that aren't good faith members of the rally, right? That show up just to cause trouble. Like there's a possibility, regardless of which side of the political spectrum that we're talking about. But here, so let me give a little bit more on the facts of the case. So this is about a Louisiana police officer was injured when violence broke out over the police killing of a Black man in Baton Rouge in 2016. So the court said that the officer has grounds to pursue a lawsuit against a protest organizer for the violence committed by the other individual. So the main issue was not necessarily whether this guy was liable, but whether or not they could impute liability, or whether or not there was some sort of a privilege or something. Specifically, it was whether state law could be read to place a duty on a protest organizer, quote unquote, not to negligently precipitate, unquote, a crime. So that, it's whether or not he has a duty to not negligently precipitate a crime. And to be fair, I haven't been able to get to the actual opinion on this case. So I'm going off of an AP article, but I mean, the duty to not negligently precipitate a crime when you are an affirmative organizer for something. I mean, anyone that's organizing any kind of a rally from here on forward in the state of Louisiana, as an example, or specifically, is probably going to be thinking about this. Like, do we need to have extra precautions that we need to put on for our speech because, for our rally or whatever, because we expect there to be a lot of people. We expect it to be a particularly contentious thing. That's where it kind of.
I'm yawning like crazy, and I'm disrupting the chat, so I think I'm just going to sign off for now.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Kurt. It was great having you.
Bye.
I guess it would depend. I mean, also, I was thinking also at an event where that feds will be there trying to instigate. But I think that it's just such a case by case analysis. I just always I want to know a lot more about this case. I'm now interested in to look more into this case and see why this guy was
locked up. What's the name of the victim?
So it's a police officer, but the defendant is DeRay Mckesson.
Okay.
So I'll share my screen again with this article. There we go. So the officer suffered serious head and facial injuries when someone threw a hard object at him as protesters blocked a highway in 2016. The protest arose from the shooting of death of a Black man, Alton Sterling. Here's a quote from the concurring opinion. Because it is alleged that Mckesson, with knowledge that such protests could turn violent, staged a protest in direct contravention of law, thereby provoking the police to respond, a person can easily associate injury to the police officer with the alleged conduct.
Okay, because it alleged that he, with knowledge that such protests could turn violent.
Yeah.
That's not enough.
Yeah, right. Like that seems like a very low, because theoretically anything could, right?
I'd still want to see more of the facts of this case, because this is a snippet that's taken by the
That's
AP.
true.
Who knows
That's
how the AP
true.
is framing this? The AP may take a very unfavorable quote. So
That is a
I don't
very
want to
good
come
point.
out and prejudge this. I would love to see the complaint. I would love to see the filings.
But
Like,
it's interesting that they're quoting a justice, though. I mean,
Mhm.
that's a justice would say such a thing, that it could turn violent.
Yeah, and to be fair, this is a concurring opinion. I don't know that the same sentiment is echoed in whatever majority opinion, or if there was just a bunch of pluralities that were
and that's
published.
a fantastic point. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, in a concurring opinion, he could say, well, this is the reasoning, but as long as that's not the direct reasoning or the reading for the actual verdict, then it's really irrelevant. The concurring opinion is just kind of fluff
Yeah.
at that point.
Yeah. So and this was specifically on the state law issues in Louisiana, because there are also First Amendment issues which the U.S. Supreme Court sidestepped in order for them to decide the state law rule issue first. So it seems like now there's probably going to be a chance for them to go up to the U.S. Supreme Court for the First Amendment issue on what this kind of a law would mean on people's First Amendment rights. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's
Crazy talk.
Like you said, Andrew, there could very well be that it could very well be that this was just cherry picked from the opinion.
And this is why you do it all the time. I mean, and Joe, you do it. I do it as well. We try to pull up the complaints. We try to pull up the original documents. We try to pull up the filings, because those are material, especially when they're talking about these facts. I just, frankly, it's just a distrust of the media. I want to see it myself. And whenever you have it available, you should always go to the original.
I don't even understand this. Although the case involves First Amendment issues, the U.S. Supreme Court sidestepped the constitutional rule in November, saying matters of state law need to be settled first. That's what the Supreme Court said, that before you address constitutional matters, you need to address the state law. That's an
maybe there's procedural law. Like, I don't understand, like, what
the Supreme Court said they're deferring to state law first before you have to worry about the Constitution. That's such a weird statement.
This is why you want to see what the actual state law is. Like, what state law are they talking about here? Like, what is at issue? This is fascinating. In fact, I would love to talk about this some more. I think this is something we could look into and definitely circle back.
Yeah, for sure.
And not in a Jen Psaki way. We will actually circle back on this, and we will actually get real information and answers.
Yeah. So anyhow, I mean, this is maybe not enough for quite a deep dive, because it is an AP article. It's not the full filing, but this was an interesting enough article that I figured it was worth talking about, because we are talking about specifically attributing liability from one person to another, right? Like, as a default matter, we are not liable. We as individuals are not liable for what anybody else does, unless there's some kind of a special relationship there, right? Like an employer-employee relationship, an agent-principal relationship somehow. And even still, depending on the liability that we're talking about, it has to be, usually within the course and scope of the employment, et cetera, et cetera. There are all kinds of requirements.
I'll just point out the degrees of Kevin Bacon between this guy and the perpetrator is probably a lot more than the degrees of separation between, or a lot less than the degrees of separation between Trump and the 1-6 perpetrators, which they tried to impeach him for. So that's all I'll say right here. But once again, as a general rule, regardless of political affiliation, I agree. This is the type of thing we need to protect zealously for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And this is definitely something that we need to come out down hard on, and look, it doesn't matter that some people don't seem to care about freedom of speech. It's a right that's important for everybody. It needs to be enforced uniformly.
Exactly. Let me get some super chats, and then we will do some fun lawyer reactions.
Okay, cool.
This will be great. Okay. Kevin Dorr says, trust in Supreme Court. Ha ha ha. Funny. 2012 Jameson says, Nate, you are 100% and she will not be borked.
Yes, no borking her.
In Fantasy I Die says 5 lawyers in one stream. My legal education content has been quintupled. Also, Adam Soju and Joe the Jew need to be a comedy double act. Get on it. Get on it.
We're here for you guys.
Tater Monkey says, what's sad is Samuel L. Jackson wins his first ever Oscar. News is silent. Take away from the good folks and focus on the smack. That is so true. He finally won a damn Oscar after all the great movies that he's been in, and no one knows about it.
I've always thought he's a really, really amazing,
Great actor.
amazing.
Phenomenal. Anti-commie says Adam just threatened Jor with CP uploads. Ruh-roh. 2012 Jameson, every surgery is a battery. No, because you have consent, and even where somebody
Yes.
cannot
That's his
consent.
point. That's his point. That's his point. He's consenting to battery.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah. It's not. It's more nuanced than that, guys.
Yeah. Jay Liebgott says, hi, y'all law. You see what I did there. Keep up the great work. Thank you. Thank you so much. So, okay. I am going to, let me just make sure that I have this properly queued up here. Okay. Let me share my screen. So now we're gonna do, I don't know if you guys have seen this. You may have seen this at this point. Have you seen this?
No.
Okay. We're gonna do.
I'm just seeing it libs of TikTok, so I'm already happy about this. This is my happy place.
So I know libs of TikTok is obviously it's centering on libs. This particular video is not political in nature. So I mean it is what it is.
Okay.
We're
It's
talking
just
about
a
San
reference.
Francisco.
Right.
Meanwhile, in the San Francisco hellhole, so you can say what you want about the policies in San Francisco. Anyhow, so
I do often.
Yes, exactly. So okay, we are going to spot the we're going to issue spot.
I can already see something. I mean,
yeah. All right.
Oh my
Right
God.
off the bat.
And we start with a blur. There's a blurry image here, and a guy who looks like he's naked. And you start this segment with "We're gonna spot." I don't even know.
Issue spot.
Yeah.
Is issues the only thing we're spotting?
Yeah.
I mean,
yes,
issue spotting.
legal issues.
Nice.
All right,
Nice.
here we
Okay.
go. I mean, obviously, starting with public nudity. Let me know if you can hear it. By the way, when I do start it, because that's I never know unless people say something.
I did a record today. I went for
by
like 30 minutes with no audio today. That was great.
Oh my gosh,
Nice.
that's awesome. Okay, here we go. Can you hear it?
Sir,
Yeah.
you need to leave our store. Sir, you're not going to get famous doing this. You need to go. The exit is right there.
That's a lot of blur.
Yeah.
That's blur all the way down to his knees.
It's a conservative blur.
Whoa.
What?
Yes, that was not expected.
What?
So then we have a battery without an assault. This is an example of a battery without an assault. And then I'll fast forward just a little bit, just because it's like he just slams right down to the floor. And I don't want this to get yeeted because we are within 2 hours. Now I just realized as I'm watching this.
I've literally
like 3
shown
more
people getting Ukraine war video. Let's put it that way. So
You have, and it's been fine.
You'll be limited on your ad revenue, but you'll be fine.
Probably.
It's not going to get yeeted.
Probably very limited. You get. I'm always.
It's already limited. I already.
If Joe's on, if Joe's on, you're limited.
This is reality.
Yeah, it's just what it is.
So, but you guys heard the smack. You can see where it's going, right? Yeah. When I first saw this, my jaw dropped.
He does a face first plant. He goes face first.
We should see. Don't spoil it.
Okay. All right. You know what? It's probably we're already.
You want to wait? You want to wait another 3 minutes till we hit the 2 hour mark?
Whoa.
And then he just walks.
Whoa. Oh my God. I have no idea. I don't know who he is. I don't know who he is. Oh my God. Yeah. Stay back.
Does he really want to go out? Does he really want to go outside naked?
Yeah.
Hey, let him go. Lock the door.
Which this
Aiden,
is
lock the door. Dude, that guy knocked him in the back of the head with that on the bottom of the escalator.
So yeah, that's the end of it.
I want part 2 of this video.
Yeah, I want some context.
Yeah. I don't know what the context is either.
No, it'd be great.
But this was one of those things that was the part that was most interesting is the fact that it's an example of the difference between assault and battery, simple assault, simple battery, because you've got
from a civil perspective.
Oh, of course. Yeah. From a civil perspective. So assault is when you put somebody in apprehension or fear of an unlawful touching. And then a battery is the actual unlawful touching itself. So if you go up to somebody and you make it look like you're going to punch them and they wince, that is assault without a battery. If you just punch somebody, but you punch them in the face and they see it coming, that's assault and battery. This is an example of battery without an assault because it came from behind him. He didn't see it coming.
And he never had the fear of it coming. This is all this different civil versus criminal. This is one of the things that law students gets drilled into law students, that assault and battery in a criminal context is somewhat different, although it'll vary from one state to another as to what's considered assault and what's considered battery. I was actually researching California criminal practice. It was California CP 240 is what covers assault, and CP 242 is what covers battery. When I was looking up, I was thinking about doing a video about the incident between Chris Rock and Will Smith and whether or not what he did, what it could potentially qualify as that, that situation there. And it's slightly different in that there is an apprehension element to assault, but it's not. I mean, in New York, it gets classified completely differently than it does in California when it's talking about criminal assault versus battery. But yeah, for civil purposes, Alita's spot on here. That if you don't see it coming, that's basically the only time you have a situation that you could have a battery without assault.
Yeah.
So cold cocked.
Yeah, if someone's asleep or they're looking the other way and they suddenly get hit, so that's where you don't have assault. Otherwise, you almost always have assault when you have battery on a civil level.
I'm amazed at how slowly and like almost robotically that guy got up too, and then just like picked it up and just slowly went like, all right, now I'm using this. It looked very strange. It didn't look like the way that I would expect somebody to react to that kind of like sudden violence on them. I don't know. There might be some kind of substances involved in that. Anyway,
I would. Yeah, come on. This is San Francisco. If he's not on a substance and he's naked, there's a question.
That's a fair point. Very fair point. Let's talk about the next one. This is a bad legal tweet, which is one of my favorite accounts on Twitter. It's one of the things that brings me joy.
God. HIPAA is so glorious.
I know. At least they spelled HIPAA right. So this is a tweet that Bad Legal Takes featured following the whole Chris Rock and Will Smith situation. The Academy is in the wrong, as was Chris Rock. No one has a right to break HIPAA medical privacy laws. So # Will Smith Oscars, sue them both. Slam a lawsuit on the Academy and CR, meaning Chris Rock.
By the way, look at that first reply. That first reply is brilliant.
A scholar 500 years from now researching 21st century Twitter posts is going to conclude that HIPAA was the foundation of our legal system.
That's
oh my God. It's
true.
Fantastic.
Everyone
true.
has such a misunderstanding as to what HIPAA is and how it works. And they just constantly throwing it around as if like, well, because of HIPAA, you can't do this. Everyone knows you can't do this because of HIPAA. As like HIPAA is so uniquely limited. It's so tiny where the situations arise that, trust me, if it didn't arise in the context of all of those businesses inquiring about COVID, you can assume HIPAA never applies. Pretty much any situation you're going to think of, no, it's not HIPAA.
Yeah, it literally, because it only applies to those specific entities and only related to your information. And by the way, you can voluntarily disclose it to other people. It's almost never going to apply.
Yeah. And somebody's readily apparent condition is not something that is like somehow private. Like, I don't know. It's just, how can it be private when everyone can see that she's a bald head? He didn't say anything about alopecia even. Like he made a joke about G.I. Jane, who was bald, and you can be bald for all kinds of different reasons. He may have known that she had alopecia.
And if he knew she had alopecia,
it wouldn't have mattered.
He still has every right to say what he said without violating any HIPAA law at all.
Right.
No duty.
Exactly. Exactly. And you know, by the way, she also has been very public about her alopecia. So, you know, so on
Which
that
nobody had
level
heard of
too.
before today. But
If
anyway.
he was her doctor and had diagnosed her with alopecia, he still could say the same joke.
The same
As
joke,
Bob.
yeah, without any reference to the actual condition. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. That's true. That's a good point. But you know, the fact that she's talked about it on social media so many times, she's, you know, kind of referenced about how she's had to shave all the way down to the skin because of, you know, the progress of the way that it's going. So yeah, there's no HIPAA violation. There's no HIPAA violation here. And
I mean,
then
HIPAA basically, as far as I understand, HIPAA basically applies to your doctor in disclosing it to certain people without your consent. That's essentially the only time you have it, as far as your doctor disclosing your own personal medical information to third parties. That's the only time there's a duty. It's coming from your medical provider, and yeah, that's why all these situations people talk about where people are talking about medical conditions or things like that, or asking about your medical conditions, have nothing to do with HIPAA, because there's no duty on those parties. The only duty is on the medical care provider.
And it does extend a little bit further than just the medical care provider. It extends also to the medical care like facility, like the hospital, as well as the billing companies, because they deal with your confidential information. So they cannot, and the thing is that they cannot disclose your private and personally identifiable information. So if they disclose information, generally speaking, about, you know, certain portion of their patients, you know, for whatever studies or I don't know, something like that.
But
like
that's the point. You consent to its disclosure all the time. Routinely, you consent to the disclosure. I was on an IRB panel, and all the time you get people signing documents. They push the documents in front of you, you know, say sign this, sign this, sign this. You're disclosing that to all sorts of third parties, which are exemptions that are written into HIPAA by the very people that they're meant to regulate. I mean, it's not something that is going to be actionably enforced very often, ever.
And I noticed in the comments someone said that your doctor can't make a joke about you, and that's not true at all. Your doctor can. He just can't disclose what your medical conditions are.
Yeah.
But he can make a joke about your weight. He can make a joke.
Call you fat.
Yeah.
Call you fat. Yeah.
Yeah. He can get on stage in front of at the Oscars and basically say, "Dude, this guy is so fat, so hideous."
I mean, my doctor was great. He'd make jokes about himself being fat, and he's like, "Maybe you should tell me what you're doing." And I'm like, "This is not a great sign here, doc." Like,
like I'm supposed to be getting my medical advice.
I'm a lawyer, not a doctor. You know.
Andy the Game Maker says, "Jeannie, I wish for your freedom."
Andy, you've got to come on and play a game, and I mean that every bit in the Saw instance.
Oh no!
Wow,
oh
that's
no,
hard.
no!
But with alcohol. Saw, but with alcohol.
With alcohol. Let me see if I can find another bad legal take for us to talk about.
I'll also check out here in another couple minutes because I am.
This will be the last one.
He's got a stream in the morning. He's got 7 hours.
Unless you want to wake up.
Chuck Potts, this guy, he tweeted, "Although it can't be used against you in a court of law, taking the fifth is the verbal equivalent of fleeing after committing a crime. Flight by one committing a crime is evidence of guilt."
This is more like, I don't even laugh. It's more depressing because, you know, this is such a horrible take, but it's so well absorbed by everybody that, you know, pleading the fifth means guilty. And literally it's the Supreme Court itself that said that law exists not just for the guilty, but for the innocent as well. There's so many reasons why you would take the fifth.
Many.
One reason you would take the fifth is because you're not an idiot. So that would be a reason to take the fifth.
And no matter what you say, some slimy lawyer is going to twist your words, no matter what.
Freaking lawyers, man.
You're going to end up looking like Goebbels by the end of it. I'm telling you. It's just going to happen.
All right. One last super chat here. Britt Cormier says she put out a video about how she loved her bald head and about how she did not care about what people thought of it.
That's what you call projection. And that's what you call when you're projecting the exact opposite of how you feel, which is what people in Hollywood do all the time.
Yeah. Well, anyhow, I think that this has been a wonderful, wonderful conversation. Thank you to you guys for joining. And thank you to Nate and Kurt.
Yeah.
What?
I said, I hope you have fun, and I hope we're invited back on. You know, I always
You
hope
guys
people
are
I'm
always
is this the
invited
last
back
time?
on.
Is this going to be the last time we get invited
This is-
on?
I just hope after my conduct today that Alina will have me back here.
The academy. I was just trying to protect them, the girls. I protect the girls.
Stop protecting family.
Whenever I hear family, I think of Fast and Furious and like the Dom Toretto, the memes. Have you seen the latest Fast and Furious?
No.
He says family.
I
He
haven't
says
seen a
family like
single one.
600 times.
I've never seen a single Fast and
The only
Furious.
reason
Neither
why I
have
saw
I.
it, okay, I've only seen two. One in a plane and one because it was one of the first movies that was out when they were reopening theaters, and I was supporting the reopening of theaters. I was just so excited to go to a movie and be able to sit there, no mask, drinking a beer in the actual theater. It was amazing.
I love, yeah, that is great.
Yeah. After so long that we were told that
Yeah.
we would totally die if you did that.
All right.
Movies, man.
We're back,
I
baby.
love going to the movies. I love it. With
miss
your
it.
your overpriced bucket of popcorn.
It's
And
good
just-
though. You can't duplicate that taste. I'm sorry. I don't care
I
what
know
people
it's
say.
so true.
It's true.
I don't care what they say. You can't duplicate.
That's actually really true. I have
Yeah.
a phone call from my son from Israel. So
Well, we're gonna wrap this up anyhow.
I
but
gotta fly. I love you guys. I will be seeing Andrew on my stream tonight. So will you. You will all be seeing Andrew on my stream together with Drex tonight at 9:00. 9:00 p.m. 9:00 Thursday
East
p.m.
Coast time.
East Coast time, which I believe is 10 a.m. in backward crazy time. Backward crazy 10 a.m. So for him, it's tomorrow. For you who's living on Earth, it's 9 p.m. tonight Eastern time. And if you're elsewhere in the country further west of me, it might be a little bit earlier your time. And yeah, 3-hour show I'm going to be trying to do, assuming we can make it. I don't know. We'll see. But
Yeah, we'll see. I may only have 2 hours of gas in me, but yeah, no, it's good.
Amazing.
I'll see you later, Andrew. Great seeing you, Alita.
Yeah, of course.
Peace.
See you guys. I'm also going to end the stream. So that about does it. I will see you guys in the next video.